Hello, hello. Welcome, one and all. Let's just make sure that we are indeed live. We seem to be live. That is good. That is good. Mm-mm-mm. All right, let's just tweet out that we are alive, and then we'll get this started. And sent. And perfect. Hello. Thanks for joining, everybody. Hey, Ash, how's it going? Hi. Hope you get some better matches in today. Yep, that's what we were hoping for. Uh, it always happens, right? Like, not even, it doesn't even need to be that, like, one deck is, like, necessarily way stronger than the rest of the table. It's just that sometimes games are lopsided, but when it's an entire night of lopsidedness, then it kind of sucks. Then it kind of sucks. Then it's bonus stream time, like right now, where I gotta get my footage. But hello, everybody. I will be starting the game soon. Um, while everybody trickles in. Uh, just saw your Omnath deck with Vince. Yeah, the Omnath deck. The Omnath deck. Omnath deck looked a lot better on Vince's stream, and the Insight looked a lot better when it doesn't get immediately destroyed at right after my following turn cycle. So yeah, Insight's a good card. It is not like a meta. It's not like metaing the table or anything. It just so happens that green is like the strongest color in Commander and the most popular one, coincidentally. So if you just jam Insight, you're gonna basically just draw a lot of cards, and it's less than $1, so it's like really easy to get good value out of it. I'm sitting here goldfishing Cabinet the Mindful while I get finally getting to catch one of these live. Yes. Well, so I generally don't stream Saturday nights. Usually I stream only Wednesday night, but I couldn't do Wednesday night this week because I was on the EDH Recast stream. So I did Friday, so that was yesterday, and the games weren't really good, so the footage couldn't really use any of the footage. So we're back with a bonus stream today. So that's great. I mean, I'm always happy to play some more games. I'm always happy to stream more, but this is not the usual scheduling. Usually I'm doing Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Today, this is a rare occasion that doesn't usually happen. But nonetheless, I am actually very stoked for this because I've been tired and I'm really excited to just kind of like chill for the end of today and have just like one quick little drink. I got my little beer. I got some water for hydration. Always good. And I'm ready to play some Commander, you know? All right, let me see if I can catch up on some stuff. Oh, I can't scroll on this, can I? Man. All right. I'll have to look at the YouTube part. Always a pleasure to watch Commander content. Thank you. Bonus streams are always good. Yes. Hey, Tomer, thoughts on a budget Feldegriff someday? Never. Absolutely not. I will never build Feldegriff. I will bring something that you love. I look forward to it. I've been brewing up a Calamax kicker deck that uses Verizal, Halar, and a bunch of instant speed kicker spells. Awesome. Yeah, the Calamax is definitely good for the kicker archetype, just because kick spells are very expensive, and Calamax, if you double up on the kick spells, is kind of like a Verizal effect, essentially. You have to focus on instants, but I mean, it's still very similar. I bought 25 copies of Insight after you spoiled it in your under. All right, well, if you wanna MTG finance it, that's fine. I don't think my influence is strong enough to cause that card to spike. But I mean, at least at the very least, you're always going to have enough insight nows to run in all your blue decks, so that's good. I'd run Insight if my regular EDH playgroup ran green much. It's a lot of white, red, and blue. Well, I mean, yeah, it's definitely meta dependent, but in my personal experiences, it seems, or at least what the like EDH rig data is suggesting, is that green is the most popular color overall. It's not that everybody's running mono green decks. It's just that most decks, the most popular combinations, color combinations, do involve green, which makes sense because it is the best color, and it does make it a little bit easier for like the mana base and whatnot. So it's always a safe bet. But if your playgroup doesn't run green, then it's not a good card. Excited to see more of this after the last stream. Yeah, I mean, this deck didn't really have a terrific showing. This deck is a little bit slower. Like Perforos, I played Perforos last week, and Perforos is kind of slow for the first like 4 turns, right? Like the most we can do is get basically like we're gonna get a turn 4 Perforos out, right? I don't think I've ever gotten a turn 3 Perforos out, but we usually get like a turn 4 Perforos, and then we have like 2 more turns. We're just kind of setting up, and then like turn 6 or 7, we just kind of like blow somebody up, and that's how Perforos works. Toshiro is a little bit slower of a deck. Not that it doesn't do anything the first couple turns. It obviously has a lot of effects to do the first couple turns, and has interaction more importantly to get to the later game. But it's more of a slow burn for sure. So there's certain matchups where Toshiro is just not going to be that great. But I do think it can do better than it showed yesterday night. That was some poor matchups. Are we doing $50 or $100 Toshiro? Well, I did a poll yesterday asking the viewers if they wanted to do $50 or Toshiro or $100 Toshiro, and it was like definitely overwhelmingly people wanted to see the $100 list. So I'm going to be running that back right now. It's nice to see the stream on Sunday noon down in New Zealand. Oh, sweet. Have there been any big changes to the deck? I did a couple changes. So I shifted a bit of the budget around so I can add Bubbling Muck, which is way more expensive than when I used to run with it. This used to be like a very budget mana doubling effect, and now it's almost $3. But basically, whenever we tap a swamp for mana, produces an additional black mana. So it's really good when we have turns where we want to go off. Toshiro can basically let you cast a lot of spells, chain together a lot of spells from the graveyard, but the main factor that's limiting is the mana. You really want a lot of mana. So Bubbling Muck is very effective, just having a big old Toshiro turn where you're flashing back multiple spells, and it's also a good way to finish the game if we have Torment of Hailfire in hand. Similarly, I also added Cabal Ritual, which is, holy smokes, is it expensive these days. Almost $5. It's like this $4 mark already. It's essentially a second Dark Ritual, but in our deck, generally speaking, we can get Threshold pretty easily. We have a lot of spells that we cast very quickly and churn through. So it's another way to just like jam out much more explosive turns. What else did we change? I also added Eat to Extinction as another way to deal with Planeswalkers. We don't have too many ways of dealing with Planeswalkers in the deck. So Super Friends is definitely a weakness for the deck. And if people watched the last stream, that definitely was true. I wanted to run also, I forget the name of it, Hero's Downfall, but that's like almost a $4 card, so I ended up leaving that out. The other one that also works the same way as Eat to Extinction was Vraska's Contempt, which is the same thing. Exile as a creature, add instant speed for 4 mana, but you, instead of basically surveilling 1, you get to gain 2 life instead. I decided I'm just going to run Eat to Extinction and keep it like that. I think there are a couple other ways that I can kill Planeswalkers, maybe 1 or other 2 ways. Obviously, Oblivion Stone is one way to just like wipe everything, including Planeswalkers. But I think I have I think I have one other way that kills planeswalkers in the deck. Soul Shatter. Soul Shatter also kills a planeswalker in the deck, and we do have a bunch of tutors, so we can find ways to find them if necessary. But I'm not gonna go like the Elder spell or something because that seems a little bit too much. It's your part two. Use it as a budget risk study. Yeah, I use Insight as a budget risk study. That's how I view it. Or you could run both. I mean, I don't think they're bad to run both of them in the same deck. I'm sleeving up a competitive Selvala build with a small twist. I'm playing a lot of Greenland's mana archetype cards. Cool. And I get to play the new Ancient Green Warden card. Yeah, that is sick. Is this a removal pile? Essentially, yes. Toshiro rewards you heavily for killing your opponent's creatures by then letting you flashback instants from your graveyard. So it does kill a lot of creatures. It does get people a little bit upset against you. You'll probably get attacked, but hopefully we can work around that. Are hand disruption spells not worth it anymore? I remember you being really big on them in the Toshiro primer. I ended up just cutting them. I'm not sure if that's correct or not. There's like Myers Toll is a good one. It costs 1 mana that can just like grab yoink an important card from somebody's hand. I don't think they're bad. I just left it out for I don't know why. I think like a hand disruption spell or two is actually a good idea in Toshiro because it does deal with stuff that Toshiro is vulnerable to, right? Toshiro is really good at dealing with creatures, and you're less good at dealing with, like, say, combos that win the game immediately and can't be interacted with well with creature removal. I don't know if there's any good, like, instant speed discard spells that you can really use in Toshiro, but, like, a Myers Toll is really good. Maybe another two of those is good, too. But yeah, that's probably a goof on my part to not have them, or one or two of them at least. I made Arquiz the Strategist deck. Arcades is a Strategist deck that goes infinite. Yeah, definitely that is a deck that can go infinite quite easily. Hello, Timer, aka Tomer. Yep, Timer is my official name on the internet because of the autocorrect. What drives you to the budget restrictions? So people can buy it easily. Is it a fun restriction for you, or is it something else? Just wondering. So when I started making budget decks, I was in university, aka college for Americans, and I did not have a lot of income, and I started playing Commander with a group that was very much like okay with proxies, and I'm okay with proxies. I always recommend people playing with proxies and whatever. I don't think game pieces should be gated out of people's hands because of prices. But yeah, I did use budget as like a way to make the game more accessible to people like me, and also just as a way to keep my competitive edge in check. I always make the most competitive decks possible. I find that really enjoyable, but I like imposing restrictions to myself so I can lower the power level a little bit and then play with my playgroup still. So I can make like the most powerful $50 deck, and while it's not a CDH deck, or it wouldn't really do so hot in a CDH table, it's more than enough to stand up with my opponent's semi-optimized, but not like super competitive, like $2,000 decks. So that's what I get a kick out of, and then that's kind of how I just became known for is the budget commander guy. And then when I asked actually more recently, I asked the YouTube community on this channel what budget restriction they wanted to see in these streams, and I put $50, $100, $200, or no budget. And the one that won by a large margin was $100. And I think that's been kind of confirmed multiple times. As I keep doing polls, I'll be like, hey, do you want me to play the $50 list or $100 list? It seems like most people are interested in me playing the $100. That seems to be like the sweet spot for at least the viewers that I retain. So that was a long-winded, ranty answer to your question, Kramer. Referring to the recent fan clash, kind of wonder how this deck wins besides Torment of X. That is a good question. So Torment of Hailfire is definitely one of our most powerful ways, efficient ways of doing it. We just generate a ton of mana. We either tutor it up or draw into it. We have like Final Parting and Dark Petition and Diabolic Tutor. We can even transmute Shred Memory to find it if we want to. And then we just win with Torment of Hailfire. But we have other win conditions as well. And the most likely way that we win the game outside of Torment is actually stealing your opponent's creatures. So we have Sepulchre Primordial, which steals, it's a 5/4, and it steals a creature from each opponent's graveyard. We have Dredge the Mire, which is similar, except our opponents get to choose. It's a lot cheaper to cast, but our opponents get to choose what creature we get back. But, I mean, even if we get the worst creature from everybody's graveyard, that's 3 creatures we just stole for 4 mana, which is fantastic. Then we have Beacon of Unrest, another way to reanimate stuff repeatedly. And Thrilling Encore is another one that's really powerful. In response to a board wipe, for example, we can Thrilling Encore and get all the creatures back. Or if we just, kill a bunch of creatures with Mire and Misery or like Liliana's Triumph, even if we're just getting 3 creatures back with Thrilling Encore, that's really, really good. So those are our primary ways to win. Torment of Hailfire, steal our opponent's creatures and kill them with it. And then we also have a Stratascythe, which will just turn any creature we do have on the battlefield into a big beater. And sometimes that's enough to also win the game as well. But those are the main ways. So we're the best beard in Magic? I mean, without a doubt. I don't even have to have a competition with people because everybody knows I have the greatest beard. Hey, Tomer, I work super early, so I'm just chilling and listening to this like a podcast before bed. Awesome. Well, have a good night, Kelton. Hope you have a good rest. Should you put in that new uncommon from Zendikar Rising? Malakir Rebirth is in the deck. I think that's what you're mentioning. And then I also have Hagra Mauling. Both of those are in the deck. So the deck is running 36 lands. It's really 38 with those two. It's probably a little bit low, honestly. I think I probably should go to 37 lands just because missing land drops in this deck is real bad. But I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it like this. Can Toshiro Flashback Adventures? I don't think so. I think they're creatures. Is Bloodchief's Thirst in there? I don't think so. Are we vetting tonight? No. So what I'm going to be doing going forward is for future streams, I'm going to do a vetting process for my opponents just to make sure that I increase the highest likelihood of having a good game. Because for folks who don't know this, my streams are fun and they're like regular streams and all, but they have a primary purpose, and the primary purpose is for me to collect footage that I can then go later on and edit and turn into an abridged gameplay video for the channel. So that's like its sneaky main purpose. Not so sneaky because I mentioned that at the beginning of every stream essentially. So the goal of every stream is basically try to get one good game in that I can then go later on, or good as in entertaining, right? Like the game itself is entertaining to watch. And then I can later edit it, and then it'll go up the next week, the following week, as a video, an edited video. So the vetting process going forward will just try to ensure the higher likelihood that everybody's deck's power levels are roughly matching to each other, and that will yield the most likely chances of having a good game. And that's what the vetting process is going to be designed for. Much like in Commander Clash, for example, Commander Clash, we always try to make entertaining games, and we do that by trying to match everybody's power level and whatnot, so that we don't have one-sided pub stomps happen. They won't happen as frequently as if we didn't do it. That's the purpose of the vetting process. So in the future, what I'm going to be doing is we have MTG Goldfish has a Discord, and I'm going to have my own little private channel in the Discord, and I'll grab people from there. And instead of just opening up the game to just anybody, I will make sure that I'll post my deck list ahead of time. People will post their deck lists ahead of time. So it's very clear that everybody's deck lists kind of align with each other power level wise. And while, pub stomps will still happen and everything, bad games will still happen, the likelihood of that happening will be a lot less. And that will start happening this coming Wednesday, or next Wednesday, because it's Saturday for for Americans and Canadians. Hello. Um, so that's going to be happening next stream. We're going to have that set up. But for today, I mean, it's the weekend. I didn't want to bother coworkers with setting that up and recruiting also moderators and whatnot. I'm also on the lookout for moderators. So if I see a lot of people showing up regularly in these streams, I will probably approach some of you later on and see if maybe if you want to help me out with some moderation. I don't think we've really needed to have much moderation, but like stuff like maybe like uh, just if anything came up, I guess I don't know. All right, all right, all right, all right. What else? What else? What else? What else? I could finish it for Silent and Rayhan. That would take me a while. Sorry, Jarrett. You can email me on Tomer at MG Goldfish, and I might be able to answer you later. Hey, Tomer, would love to build your Akiri deck. The Akiri deck is my deck hasn't been finished yet, but I mean, I'm very excited for it to finish. I see you've cut Infernal Darkness this time, though. Yeah, I was thinking about it, and just like I think it's actually good for Toshiro because if for example I Thrilling Encore get a bunch of creatures and then I drop down an Infernal Darkness, I think it's a very powerful play. The only problem with that is that just people don't like it. People don't like having Infernal Darkness played against them. Same thing with like Blood Moon. I love Blood Moon in like a mono red deck, and I put it in the Perforos deck. But like I know if I played Blood Moon, in terms of like comments that I would get later, people don't like effects that mess with people's lands, and Infernal Darkness also does that. So for the sake of like having entertaining games, I'm gonna leave out MLD. I'm gonna leave out anything that messes with lanes on a wide scale. I think that's just how it's gonna be going forward. What did you replace it with? I don't remember. I can tell you which cards I added. I added Eat Extinction. I added Bubbling Muck. I added the Cabal Ritual. Gravebreaker Lamia. Even though I don't think this card's amazing, maybe I put that one in. I'm not sure. Tomer's great. He's agreed to all the comments. I try. The nice thing about having a relatively small stream is I can answer everybody's comments pretty quickly. Black Friday week, you should do a no budget commander. For Black Friday week, but isn't the point of Black Friday you're supposed to do like it's sales and stuff, so shouldn't it be cheaper? You should write or do a video about getting around the rising price of Commander. I used to make super budget decks too, but now most of them have become super expensive in less than 2 years. I mean, there's not much I can write about, right? Like, the prices of all my decks go up as well. Like, that's just a thing about supply and demand, really. It's just more people are playing Commander than before. The supply of cards haven't gone up. And, yeah, as people build more and more decks, and also some of those cards are lost forever. Like a lot of people don't even sell the cards that they had before. Supply dries up, demand goes up, and the prices go up. That's just how it is. And the only thing I can do about it is just make more budget decks, right? Like I can always find new budget brews that I can create for $50 mark. They were not going to be $50 later on, like after half a year or so. It can go up significantly in price, or even after a month, it can go up significantly in price. But I'll just keep trucking, and I'll keep just making budget decks with the cards that are available. I promise to play a creature-based deck this time. You don't have to make a deck that is like my deck is actually good against. The only thing that would get irksome for me, and I'm not even sure, like I don't have this has zero basis in it, but I have noticed that there have been some streams where like I'll be like, here's my deck, and then I come up against like multiple opponents who have like decks that are like the antithesis of my deck, and it's like, well, okay, I mean, it could definitely it could be just that people are just picking whatever decks they feel like playing, but knowing that they know the deck ahead of time, it kind of feels bad sometimes, where it's like I pick a red deck and then it's like multiple Enchantress decks queue up suddenly. Kind of feels rough. again, I might just be projecting because I was a little bit tilted last night just because I couldn't get a single good game. I wasn't tilted at people in particular. I was tilted at just the fact that like I couldn't get any good footage, so now I have to do a bonus stream, which is fine. It happens, but at the time I was a little bit tilted. Um, da, 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 da. I'll have to do Captain on some time. Very sweet. I'm almost caught up. I'm trying so hard to catch up, chat. Hey, Tomer, I built your budget Animar recently. Any suggestions on upgrading it? Oh my goodness. Budget Animar, that's a couple years back. Before anyone suggested no, I'm not swapping to my commander to Kadena. I had my budget Animor stack disassembled fairly recently. I don't even know why I did it. I'm not using the cards anywhere else. But I could probably like dredge up. If you email me, I'll dredge up my old list before I disassembled it like a year ago. If you're interested in it, but it did get some upgrades from when Kadena did come out. So the Perforce Bronze Blooded game where you made like 16 mana for Mana Geyser and then made a bunch of token copies was Poggers. Yeah, that was Perforce is a great deck. I really enjoy it. I don't think it was like a special stream at all. That's just what Perforos does. And I'm building my own Perforos deck based on how much I enjoyed playing Perforos before. So, yeah, I highly recommend Perforos Bronze Blooded if you want a new deck. We're going to find a link to the Goldfish Discord. I will have that all set up for next stream. Right now I have nothing set up. Just don't always pick the Cauldron decks. Do you plan to have a ban list like in Commander Clash? Not really. I think this is more like use your judgment. Like I'm running $100 decks. I don't expect you to run also $100 decks at all. Like definitely don't do that. I kind of take pride in the fact that these decks kind of punch way above their cost price. So if you're trying to match me in budget, like I feel like that defeats the purpose. But like, I would say just don't pick Corvold. Corvold seems like way out of the range of most decks. And if you're like jamming like mana crypts and stuff, you're gonna increase the likelihood that you're just gonna have you're gonna have like the nuts turn 1 or turn 2, and you're just gonna wipe the game that way. That's why, for example, we banned Mana Crypt, Sol Ring, and Mana Vault in Commander Clash, is because they're not a problem by themselves, but what they do is they increase the variance of non-games on Commander Clash. We had a bunch of recordings where somebody just kind of like, oh, I have turn 1 Sol Ring, Mana Crypt, blah, 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 into a Windfall, and now I'm just way ahead of everybody. And try as we might, we have interaction, we have properly built decks. Try as we might, we just get steamrolled because somebody just got a really lucky start. And what's the problem there is like that happens in Magic the Gathering, it happens in Commander, but then that means that footage is useless to us. We have to now play another game, and if that keeps happening, we're in a bad spot because we don't have an entertaining video. So what I would say is try to match the power level of like the rest of the table when we do the vetting process and stuff, and probably stay away from anything that like generates an obscene amount of mana or can just like randomly win really, really easily, really, really quickly, because that will lead to non-games. I'm not saying you can't have like really spicy decks, powerful decks even. Obviously definitely bring powerful decks, because I want to see these decks, my decks, actually tested, not just like given free wins or whatever. That would be terrible. But like Mana Crypt, Dockside Extortionist probably, when paired with Corvold, is probably a bit too much. So just like that. And like if I ever see if once we do the vetting process, I will go over each deck. And if there is an issue, which I doubt there really will be, like it's very rare that there's a deck that just like a pub stomp. I think I've been streaming for like 2 months now. And of all the games that I've done like 15, 20 games. No, more than that, like 20 games. And I think there's only 2 times where I was just like, why is this happening? It was a Captain Sisay deck that, went full out like all the Moxen and like the Mana Crypts. And that was like, the table tried, but just watching them spin their wheels. And then there was like the Corvold deck, which I know was not intended to be that powerful. It was a food tribal deck, but like Corvold plus Dockside Extortionist just crushed the game through even like a lot of interaction. So by removing those cards from your decks, then that increases the likelihood that we'll have a good game. Long response to that. And again, I don't want to. I don't feel like I'm not calling anybody out or anything. Nobody intends to like pub stomp. I don't think as a viewer. But those are the guidelines I would say. Is like try to avoid like the super fast mana. But yeah, that's basically it. But like Soul Ring's fine. But like if you have like Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Do you have a ban list? Okay, I have one for that. Maybe can we reach moderators for Seth and Chris? I mean, I'm going to recruit moderators who actually like watching my stream, right? People like the moderators watch Seth and Crim's stream. They're Seth and Crim's moderators. I'd rather look for people who are watching my streams anyway and would like to help me out. Maybe you can. Do you have any deck building tips on how to avoid being the problem? Okay, answer that. What would we replace it? Is Orchard too expensive? Yeah, it's like $20. Any particular reason to leave out Revel of Riches in Black Market? I don't think I've ever seen a game where Revel of Riches actually won. You have to do some like fancy maneuvering in it. If I just throw in Revel of Riches into this deck, I guarantee you, all I'm gonna do is draw a lot of hate, and I'm never gonna win the game with it. Black Market's pretty decent, but I think it's kind of expensive. And it's pretty slow. It's like 5-mana enchantment, and then you have to wait for a while. For it to actually get some value in it. Since you save cash in the store, it means you have more cash. Oh, I could see that answer. Wonder how interested viewers would be in having deck text of viewer-submitted decks. Well, we do. Do you want something like says a deck text for Much Brew? If there's interest in that, I think like if it's a popular idea, then I'll do it. I know a lot of viewers like seeing their own decks being showcased. That's like a normal thing to have. But if viewers like watching other viewers have their deck text showcased, then I'll do it. Do you have a budget veto deck? No, I don't. Do you list potential upgrades that will push this deck budget at the end of the video? I generally don't do that because it takes me extra time, but in my primers I do. Chat is outpacing you. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm getting outpaced on chat, and we have been chatting for a while. I think we're ready to start, friends. I think we're ready to start. I'm sorry if I didn't get all your answers. But just keep asking. If I haven't answered your question, just keep asking it. And if it shows up over here where I'm putting the thingy, putting the mouse, I might catch it. That's the only advice I've got. I'm sorry. I'm really slow. Okay, chat. So what we're gonna do is I got my one beer, my celebratory beer for the week. I'm gonna have a little sip. And then we're going to get started with a game. Do you think a no ramp rule would be interesting? No, I don't think that would be interesting. I think it would be just too slow. And also, like, I want to showcase real decks. I want to showcase real decks on the streams. Like, I have a lot of pride in like building optimal decks. So I want to showcase my optimal decks against like real decks. I just don't want it to be like so high variance where it's like, all right, I got beaten by Mana Crypts or whatever. What you drinking? I'm drinking a very hipster beer. It's a dry hopped sour ale. I very rarely drink alcohol, just because I'm not usually a fan of it. But this beer or ale, I don't know what it would be called. A sour ale, is that a beer? It is a beer. I don't know. This one's tasty. I like my sweet drinks. I don't like hard alcohol. I like my sweet drinks. So I like ciders and sour ales, apparently. All right. So we've got our deck ready. It is really cold in here, so I got my hoodie on. And we got a sweet Toshiro Umezawa deck. We are ready to go. Let us start, friends. Let us start. So Commander Open Play. Please select a deck that is. Ooh, okay. I thought. Oh, I saved it as a vintage deck. Okay. Maybe don't save this as a vintage deck, Tomer. That is not the play. Let's save it as a commander deck. Oh, and I'm very proud of the swamp choice today. So let's see how the stream is looking. Hopefully the buzz isn't too bad. I'm trying to fix the background buzz if you hear it. Maybe don't save this as a vintage deck. Okay, stream is a little bit delayed, but whatever. It's not too delayed. All right, we are starting the game. Let us see if we can get some good games. Oh yeah, that's good. Cracking the cold one with the boys, yes, and the girls, and those that lieth betwixt. All are welcome on the stream. Hey, it's Homer. I'm a big fan of you. Thanks. In Commander Clash, and it's been awesome watching you guys over the years. And I just want to say thanks for the awesome content. Thank you, Kyle. Honestly, saying sweet stuff is my go-to as well. Yep, I like ciders. Ooh, this is a nice hand actually. We got two swampy swamps. We got two ramp cards. We got some early draw. We got a nice Force of Despair. I like all these cards a lot. So we're up against Sasaya Orochi Ascendant. So this is all about like getting a full hand of lands and then flipping. And I can't read the background, but we can right click it. Whenever a land you control is tapped for mana, add an additional 1 mana of each type. So it's usually like you have like Genesis Waves effects, and Helix Pinnacle is like the usual like go-to answer for Sasaya to just like, it's basically just like have a bunch of lands, be like a mono green landfall-ish deck a little bit, fill your hand with lands, and then flip it, and then dump giant X spells and win the game. Ulrich of the Krallen Horde, which I guess it's probably Werewolf Tribal. I've done budget Werewolf Tribal before, so if you're interested in a budget version of this, go check it out. I ran it. Oh, and Verazal, hello there, Verazal Kicker. Very much like these ones. All right, so let's keep this hand. Force of Despair is an awesome card. It's, I think, definitely an underrated card, and something I did a video on as well, where I talked about my top 5 favorite free spells, or I think it was top 5 or top 10. I covered Force of Despair as one of them, and it is a fantastic card, especially in mono black decks, and especially in Toshiro. All right, turn 1, Birds of Paradise. Let's go. It's a classic card for Mono. Dang it, I tried but failed to jump in with Mono. I mean, like, people are fast. But just keep in mind, friends, starting next week, I won't have open games anymore. I will do a vetting process, and I'm going to have games specifically for friends. So like decks will be shared beforehand to make sure that, you know, the power level is roughly equivalent to each other to maximize the chances of having a good game. This will be the last stream where we're just opening it to the public, essentially. But I mean, like, anybody who wants to play with me is more than welcome to like, you know, submit an application. I don't even know submit an application. It sounds so. Oh my god, I sound like so conceited or something, so obnoxious. I don't mean to sound like that, Chad. I'm sorry. You know what I mean. Tomer, do you think Naiath of the Dire Hunt would be a better Werewolf Tribal commander? Maybe. I mean, it depends how much fighting your deck does. I don't think Ulrich is that bad, though. Like, Ulrich, when I was running Ulrich for Commander Clash, for example, I ran him last year for the Halloween episode, and I did the budget primer on him. Oh my goodness. We just got like all our mana rocks. This is kind of silly. Um, so how are we doing this? So we get a Soul Ring and then. Mm, so we Soul Ring, we Prismatic Lens, and then I think we Night's Whisper, and then next turn we're gonna Everflowing Chalice for biggies. So this is actually like a very high variance start. This is what I'm talking about with like Soul Ring high variance. I mean, I don't really have much of a follow up to this. It just kind of is kind of cool, but yeah. Imagine if I also had like if this was a Mana Crypt instead, and I was running a deck that was like I don't know, very proactive. This deck is very reactive, so if I have a lot of mana, it's not that interesting unless I have the proper cards with it. But you could see how like variance can make games end very quickly if I had like a combo or something that was ramping out. I hope you are not. I did not read that part. I'm sorry. Yeah, the cycle was pretty balanced except for the blue one, Sally. The blue one. I forget which one that was. The blue version of this. It was the counter spell, of course. Yeah, they're kind of bland with the blue ones. Will submission of deck lists be fine for that? Yes. I don't know if I want to be friends with Tomer. I know what that means. That's fair concern. Do what you must, Tomer. If you want applications, we'll give you applications. Yes. He's not a bad card. He's just not a werewolf tribal commander. Yeah, I think the problem with Ulrich is it comes down to expectations. People like when they went to original Innistrad, the biggest thing that they failed on that Mark Rosewater says, people were expecting a legendary werewolf tribal commander, and he said that was one of his biggest regrets in Innistrad. And then when they went back to Innistrad, everybody was expecting the legendary tribal werewolf that Mark Rosewater was even mentioning was a thing that they were excited for to showcase. And then we got this, and this card does not actually benefit werewolves at all. It's a good werewolf. It's one of the best werewolves, to be honest, but it doesn't really do anything for werewolves. All it says is that it can't fight werewolves, which is not tribal support. It's just a restriction that seems like flavorful. It seems anti-flavorful. Isn't an uncontested alpha? When an alpha is uncontested, doesn't that mean he's fighting for his role? So wouldn't he want to be fighting werewolves? Isn't that kind of what he does to make sure he remains the alpha? I thought like that in my head, that would be like the canon. But apparently he just fights non-werewolves. He won't even fight for his spot. I don't know. That seems silly to me. All right, we're going to kick an Everflowing Chalice for 3? 3 times? Yeah. Then we're going to pass the turn. If we get like Bane of Progress, we'll be real sad, but you gotta do what you gotta do, you know? So yeah, that's why it was a bit of a downer. We were looking for, people were expecting a werewolf commander, and this is not the werewolf commander people were expecting. Hopefully they get it right in Innistrad Werewolves, which is coming out next, that was a good play. Hopefully we get that in next year when we go back to Innistrad specifically for the werewolf thing. I'm assuming we're gonna get like a really nice werewolf at that point. The swamps are what swamps are those? They're beautiful. These are I believe the APAC. I think it's like Asia Pacific AC. I don't know what the AC stand for. APAC lands. Let me find it. Asia Pacific. Oh, it is just Asia Pacific. It's Asia Pacific lands. They were available to people in like, I think they came out in 98, and they were available to people in the Asia Pacific area. So like Australia, Japan, China, Taiwan, all those places. So they're very rare, but they're gorgeous. And they depict, or at least most of them depict real world locations. And these are my favorite swamps in the game. I really love the artworks on them. They're not Kamigawa swamps. I ran Kamigawa Swamps last night, but like honestly, I just love the artwork on these. They're just so great. I think this is Taiwan, or it was for the Taiwan region, but I mean I'm not sure. Oh yeah, the Sol Ring Everflowing Chalice was definitely brutal for us. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, folks. Turn off auto yields. The flavor is he's uncontested, so werewolves won't step up to play fight him. I guess so. Yeah. Werewolves need white added to them. Small stacks packages like Rule of Law are how you make them work. I mean, so I wrote a primer on werewolves that I highly recommend checking out. If maybe somebody can be kind enough to link it in the chat, if you even are allowed to. I'm not sure how the settings work. Um, I made a werewolf tribal deck around Ulrich, but I also showed how to do Naya werewolves. And Naya werewolves, they get Tolsumir, friend of wolves, so he can make wolves. And werewolves and wolves are interesting that they're kind of like they have an overlapping synergies. There's a lot of tribal lords that help both wolves and werewolves at the same time. So you get that card, which is one of the last missing pieces for like buffing up wolves slash werewolves. And then you also get access to like Thalia, and you get access to non-creature hate spells that do slow the game and allow your werewolves to flip more easily. But I personally actually just like the Gruul version a little bit more. The Gruul version, though it doesn't have access to all the white stuff, the non-creature hates of white. The nice thing they did have is, do I do Toshiro? We don't have any real use for Toshiro right now. I think we have to kill Verazol. Verazol is scary, man. Verazol is scary. We could do like, hmm. Yeah, that's the one big thing. I think we kill Vera's even, but killing Verazol is not even that interesting for us. It is a big value engine. Maybe we do just cast. We just cast Toshiro, and then we could. I don't know. Do not kill Verazol. Remove 3 counters from him. Oh, that would actually be pretty nasty. That would actually not be. That's not a bad idea. That's actually pretty funny. Let's just do that now then. Hopefully nobody blocks. He's just stuck. He's stuck as a 1/1. That's brutal. Yeah. Verazol does nasty things, but when he's at 1 counter, he's a little bit awkward. But we just have to hope that nobody blocks him. Yeah, F for Verazol. I mean, they can add counters to it. The feeling of that Verazol 1 is so brutal. It is. It is. It is. You'd rather be turned into an elk. Don't block. Don't block. Should Verazol decks run proliferation? I like Evolution Sage. Verazol decks are in green, so they can run a lot of. They usually should be running a lot of green ramp spells, and Evolution Sage is a really easy way to get a lot of proliferate once you're land ramping. So like my budget version of Verazol runs it. I'm assuming this is my budget version of Verazol too. I mean, I guess it could just not be, right? Like there's going to be a lot of overlapping cards, but I'm assuming that's the case. In fact, this is also the best way to deal with Floor Wind Grace. Contagion. Yeah. Contagion Agent is fine. It's also doubles out removal. It's a little bit slow though. There's Rooster Drakes. All right. What about Flux Channeler? I think Flux Channeler is significantly worse than Evolution Sage. But I mean, you're still going to get value out of it. It's not terrible. But I think Evolution Sage is kind of nutty where, like, you can just drop a land and then you'll just cast something like Grow from the Ashes Kicked. And you get 2 extra lands, and that's 3 proliferates off 1 spell. And you're ramping, which is something you're doing anyway. And then if you have higher budgets, if you don't have like budget restrictions, you start running fetch lands, and then you basically get 2 proliferate triggers per turn, which is also just kind of nutty. Oh, we have to turn off auto yields. All right, we get hit. We can't have a good block. Are you excited for Etch Foils in Commander Legends? Yes. Yes, I am. From what I heard, they look really nice. Because I remember when in the Command Fest where they first previewed a couple cards from Commander Legends, they showed Prosh. And yeah, if they hit any commanders that I care about, that I have a personal collection of, I'm definitely gonna pick them up. World Breaker. Okay, World Breaker. Interesting. Big spells. Big beats. So right now, Ulvenwald Tracker can take out Toshiro. I think that's what they're gonna do before we untap. It's that or like take out the incubation druid. Evolution Stage let me drop Nissa. Yeah, Evolution Stage is kind of nutty. Fluxianer is not bad though. Fluxianer is not bad. It's just that I think the other one's a little bit stronger. We don't have too much going on, unfortunately, and we don't want to let. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, draw 2 cards. Not sure what we want to do here. We kind of want to just draw cards. I think what we're going to do is we're going to just cycle the Desert of Glorified and see what we hit. Alright, we hit a land. I think we're going to let the Hermit flip. Yep, we're going to let the Hermit flip. I've always wanted to make a Toshiro deck, but he seems really underpowered. I mean, he's not in good colors to really make use of instants, but I think he's fine. I don't think he's underpowered. We're just having a pretty slow start. Like, keep in mind that at the beginning of the game, Force of Vigor took out our Everflowing Chalice and Soul Ring. It wasn't a great start, and we haven't hit any real card draw yet. We're kind of like mucking about, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Toshiro has some pretty interesting stuff. Now werewolves are friends. I mean, I was I was talking to chat when Soul Ring and Everflowing Chalice got blown up, but like keep in mind, I don't forget easily. When I was investigating Toshiro 2 or 3 years ago, there were noticeably fewer good black incense. The last few years have added a few good ones. Yeah, I mean Toshiro is pretty open ended. He just wants good black incense spells, so the more they get printed, the better he gets. It's a it's like a very niche archetype. Like you want to focus on stuff that kills, and there's not a lot of spell slinger support in black, and probably never will be. But at the same time, it's you do get more instants at the very least. You get better options for killing stuff. What kind of swamps are those? They look great. They're APAC lands, Asia Pacific lands is what they are. All right. So Tuk Tuk does not kill the incubation druid in response. The Abacus always remembers exactly. The Abacus does always remember. If he was instant sorcery, it would be quite better. I mean, yeah, obviously. But I mean, he is just a 3 mana. He's a 3 mana lord. Like he's not. He's definitely no like Talrand, for example. But he can do some really cool things. I wouldn't count him out. I was kind of bummed out though, because like I intend on building Toshiro Umezawa as well. And what I like doing for my decks, budget or no, um, +1/+1 and trample. Okay. Is I like getting the foil version if it's a commander. But so the regular version to Sheer is like $5, which is fine. It's easy. But like the foil version is like 50, and I'm like, nah, I can't spend that much. That's a bit much. That's a bit crazy. Sharon resides. We have Rain Academy Chancellor being in blue, but wanting things opponents to target and wanting to be enchanted. Rain has a lot of hoops to jump through. I think Toshiro has less hoops to jump through. Tomer, could you show us the infamous abacus? I might have it in my closet. Vivian, Champion of the Wilds. Love this card. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is my budget werewolf deck, because these are all cards that I run in the werewolf deck. There hasn't been any deviation yet, so it might be that. But I mean, I guess maybe these are just cards that any werewolf deck would want. These are all just generally good cards. Exile one first down, so we can't even see it. I can show you. I can see if I have abacus. Just here has less jumps, but as it goes on to get better, yeah. Whoa. I do have you. So, I did break the abacus. As you can see, it's missing one of the rows. This is what fell out. This was actually an abacus that Richard sent me. I think it was like whenever the abacus meme was formed. I'm not sure when it was. It's been like a couple years now. But yeah, Richard sent me this as a gift, and unfortunately I broke it. But yeah, here's the abacus action for you all. I'm not sure how to use an abacus, clearly. Apparently it's for counting things? I don't know. Too much violent shaking? I mean, anytime I'm slighted, like, that Force of Vigor getting at my Sol Ring and Everflowing Chalice, that's a lot of shakes. So we don't have too much action going on, but I feel like our fortunes will change drastically as soon as we find some removal. Oh boy, oh baby. All right. Well, I'm kind of surprised that Umezawa Tracker hasn't been fighting yet. He knows that having is okay for. Just giving what the viewers want. All right. I'm just giving the viewers what they want. Do do do. All right, Journey to Discovery. Okay. Hello, ASMR Home Row. How's it going? How does it feel to be a non-green player at the table? Feels like I'm missing out. Feels like I'm missing out. Feels like my mana ramp got destroyed. That's always like the feels bad about. So many viewers, and I guess it's a reflection of the Commander community itself. Many people feel very strongly against mass land destruction, and I think it's a totally understandable feeling. I think a lot of effects that people don't like happen to be. Oh, oh, okay. Happen to be effects that prevent them from casting spells and playing the game. Ooh, I do want to use this ability. Thank you. How did you? How did you know? um, let's take out this big boy. That was cool. We're working together, the werewolf tribe and I. So people don't like spells that prevent them from casting stuff. I totally get that. That's why people don't like stacks. People don't like Blood Moon. People don't like Ruination. People don't like Armageddon. However, the indirect thing about that is it actually buffs green a lot because focuses on actual land ramp, and because the cards that affect basic lands in general, like, um, ooh, are there stuff in everybody's graveyard? No. Force of Vigor, Sky Shroud. Okay, so we can kill one of our opponent's creatures, and then get it on our side. So I think we're gonna do that. How are we going to do that? We don't have enough mana to do that. Wait, yes, we do. We can tragic slip this. No. Well, hmm. Hmm. I would like to cast Dredge the Mire. Hmm. It's a shame that nobody has any spells and creatures in their graveyard. Well, this would have been a little bit better. Maybe we just hold off, actually. Kill the druid, get the ramp. The thing is, the opponents get to choose, so they can just give me the world breaker. Um. Yeah, I think we just pass. I think we'll just pass. It makes it a lot worse, yes. But I mean, the thing is that we can get three creatures, right? Even if it's the worst ones in each person's graveyard, it's still three creatures. I think it's still a good card. Yeah. So my point on that is that people don't like not being able to play Magic, right? So that's why they don't like MLD. They don't like stuff that messes with lands. The problem is the Green's greatest strength is ramping with lands. So indirectly, Green actually gets a lot of buffs because they can go wild. They can go hog wild with land ramp. All their ramp is going to be land ramp, and they get to generate a ton of mana very easily through that. Whereas non-green decks, they have to usually rely on mana rocks, and mana rocks being blown up don't have the same stigma. Even though like a Vandal Blast is devastating, it can cut out half somebody's mana base because they're all like half the mana is going to be mana rocks. Those are acceptable in Commander because they're not touching the person's land, so they still have some mana to work with. But like a Bane of Progress, a Vandal Blast is devastating for non-green decks. Like if you're investing heavily in if your ramp package is heavily into artifacts, you're losing a lot of mana that way, and it can be devastating. And I could put that person back multiple turns, just like right now. Like imagine if I had the Soul Ring and the triple kicked Everflowing Chalice, I could have done what I wanted to do this turn, but I can't. And these are socially acceptable in Commander, but touching people's lands are not. So that actually gives Green a huge boost that if that social stigma against land destruction wasn't there, then Green will actually be a little bit weaker in Commander. But right now, Green is still the strongest color regardless of this, but Green gets an extra leg up, even though it's like far ahead of the other colors. It gets an extra leg up due to the social stigma of not being able to destroy lands because they get to land ramp and they don't have to rely on mana rocks. So that's kind of like a thing that kind of sucks. I wish they introduced more ways to punish green land ramp without necessarily running more Armageddon effects. There has to be a way to prevent people from generating too much mana or going too greedy with mana land ramp, just like there are ways to punish people for running too many mana rocks out onto the battlefield. I think like if you have like I think, and this is a spot where white should be really good at. I think white should have a lot of ways to balance the table where it's like, yeah, you have too many lands. I'm going to punish you for it. And it has to not be too specific. It has to not to be too narrow. And it's very tough to figure it out. It's very tough to figure out a good spot for it. It's not, I've never found a good answer to how to fix that. But just having that in mind, it's kind of a little bit annoying. That's what green gets to get away with, essentially. Okay, reach and trample. Reach and trample. That is a big ol' hit. So I'm okay with this happening. These are strip mine combos definitely remind me that green can bust out lands right open. I mean, green is also really good at abusing strip mine effects because they also have the best they have the best land recursion. They're the best at lands in general. They have the best land tutors, they have the best land ramp, and they have the best land recursion. They just have the best land anything. And it would be nice to see that other colors have more ways to keep them balanced. Okay, Tomer, what's on van balance? Gotcha. I feel like a fair version of balance would be interesting to see. We actually do have a fair version of balance. It's called Magus of the Balance. Unfortunately, though, Magus of the Balance is just a little bit too expensive. If we had a redone version of Magus of the Balance that also cost, same amount of mana, but maybe the activation cost was much less, that would actually be cool to see. Basically, I wanted to see a balance effect that can't be cast on like turn 1 or so. Okay, we're getting mana flooded. That's not great. Getting mana flooded, getting beaten by a getting beaten by the werewolf deck. Doesn't feel great. Not really sure what to do here. We can kill the incubation druid, but I don't think we have any reason to do so. We could. Um, I think we just pass again. Unfortunately, we just don't have any action yet. Okay, so the problem with balance is that balance can be too easily abused outside of its purported goal. The purported goal of is balancing, but balance is anything but balance. Ironically, the problem is that if balance is unbanned, it just increases the likelihood that people are going to be using it um, to basically run like mana crypts, mana rocks, the chromes, and everything. Basically, dump out your hand on turn one as quickly as possible, and then you end up with a balance. So you cast turn one, you just dump all your hand immediately. All this fast mana accelerants. Maybe drop a threat or whatever as well while you're doing it, and then your last spell is going to be balance, and then everybody loses their entire hand. It's even more devastating than a windfall. Windfall is generally used most powerfully. What's going on here? Windfall's usually used most powerfully. Oh, it's targeting his own Verazol, I think. Yeah. Okay. He wants to copy some stuff of Verazol. That's fair. Um, Windfall's used most powerfully when you have like mana rocks, mana crypt, mana vault, Sol Ring, all that stuff, and you just dump your hand and you wheel when you're empty-handed and your opponents have still a full grip. That's when it's most unfair. And balance would be even worse than that. Balance would say like, all right, because you have no hand now and you're way ahead on board, everybody else just gets to lose their hand before they can really do anything about it. Um, so that's the problem with balance. Balance is not a balanced card, ironically, just from the state of how the game is right now. So I want to see a balance that actually sticks to its intended goal, and that's going to be difficult to find. I think like a balance with there's like restore balance, which has to spend, and that's kind of more balanced in a way, but it's difficult to figure it out. There's issues with all of the answers, right? We need a white version of Great Hench and Heuristic Study. I mean, maybe. I can see white version of that being okay. I don't think that stops anything about green having just like free reign in terms of land ramp, though. I think that's just like a fundamental issue of the format is green gets to have the best ramp options, and their ramp options aren't allowed to be messed with. That's what is the most unbalanced part of it. Every other color's ramp options are usually artifacts, and they're allowed to be messed with. But the green options, the green land ramp is not allowed to be messed with. That seems like there's no check and balance for that. That's appropriate for play groups. Natural balance is a good example. Too bad it's a green. Exactly, it's a green, right? Like that is a good example of a way to balance out land ramp, but it's in green, which is the color that the last color that it should be in, essentially. Ooh, Soul of the Harvest is in the game. I kind of well, I don't actually want that card. It's creature heavy. Then we need to remove the statement behind land destruction. I don't think it's possible to. People like casting spells in Commander. It's a totally reasonable expectation. When you sit at the table, you get to see your deck do things. So I don't think you can convince Commander players as a whole that land destruction is okay, or mass land destruction is okay. I don't think that's an argument you can win. You can make valid points, but I don't think you're going to convince people about it, regardless, because people just don't like that feeling. So I think the onus is mostly on like Wizards of the Coast to find new creative solutions to that, and I think they're kind of a couple years behind on it. Like they've only wisened up like last year that maybe mono white needs some decent options. So it's going to take them even longer to solve the situation with green being too strong. If they ever solve the issue, they're probably the best way or the easiest way they're going to solve that is just like increase the power level of all the other colors dramatically, so every color is green, which would be one way of solving it, I guess. It's not the way that I would prefer, but that would probably be the easiest and most direct way of doing so. Just make every color green. Everybody gets the best ramp. Everybody gets the best card draw, the best tutors, and then suddenly green's no longer that special. Destroy target lands with 2 red overlord. Oh, that would be disgusting. No way. Balance for lands only? Maybe. As long as balance for lands only might be interesting. But yeah, that's green has that version. If we get a white version of that, maybe that's interesting. Confounding Conundrum is a good start, but it doesn't fit lands ramp. Confounding Conundrum is interesting. I think it's good against some decks. It's not good against all decks, though. For example, like if you play Confounding Conundrum and your opponent is like Tatyova, then Tatyova is going to be like, "Oh, sweet! I'm just going to draw even more cards by ramping and then bouncing it and ramping it again." Or like Azusa, for example. It's not necessarily the best against land decks. Against decks that aren't landfall decks, though, just generic green decks that are just running like your ramp and growth effect and stuff, then yeah, it's actually pretty decent at slowing them down. Things sold the highest lets you draw 2 cards off Dredge from Mire. Oh, that is actually true. Why are we so? What's this though? I'm kind of stuck. The main issue with green ramp is how green has mana dorks and land ramp. Since creature removal is most prevalent, the land ramp sticks better without MLD being present. I mean, yeah. Some of my decks still run mana dorks because like one CMC mana dorks are worth the risk of them eventually dying, right? Like Birds of Paradise, despite the fact that I'm running a Toshiro deck, I still haven't killed Birds of Paradise because it's scarier things. But like this is probably the worst matchup for a Birds of Paradise deck if you come against a Toshiro player. Odds are the Birds of Paradise is gonna die. But even then, like if you get like 2-3 turns of activating Birds of Paradise, it doesn't matter if it dies. Land ramp is safer definitely, but the mana dorks, the 1 CMC mana dorks are still worth running, despite creature removal being a thing. Just play Acid Rain. Oof. To really counter land ramp decks now, players need to run more anti-tutor cards like Ashiok Dreamrender. That's actually my favorite way of countering land ramp, actually. I really like Ashiok Dreamrender. Ashiok is actually, low-key, one of the best ways to deal with land decks in general. It shuts down all green land ramp, and if your opponent is like an actual lands matters deck, like Get Rock Monster, like Tatyova, like Lord Windgrace, all of those are secretly actually just graveyard decks. All they want to do is like flood the board with fetch lands, fill their graveyard with fetch lands, and strip mine effects, and recur them with stuff like Crucible of the Worlds and Ramunap Excavator, and then get them all back at once with like Sponge Reclamation, for example. So the best way of actually shutting that down is graveyard hate. If you remove all the lands from their graveyard, they don't have any ways of their recursion abilities no longer are effective. So Ashiok is actually like the best way of dealing with a lands matter deck and green decks in general, just shutting out all their ramp potential. Yeah, I love Ashiok. To be fair, black is the only color that has a hard time with land ramp. Blue has control magic. Red and white have land destruction. The problem is that like messing with lands on a large scale is not approved in most social circles. 2 cards. Caldonic Bombers are my favorite to reset all the same. Do we just kill the Scorned Villager? Now that's a problem. See, if I cast Dredge to Mire now, I might. See, I want that soul harvest, and I don't care about the scorned villager. So what I'm gonna do, and this is janky, uh, is I think I'm gonna cast Force of Despair in response to the scorned villager to just kill the soul harvest, and then I'm going to kill the Veras. Do I want to kill the Veras? I don't think I want to kill the Veras. Yeah, let's. One. I'm just gonna hardcast it. Boop. Wait, did Soul of the Harvest not come out yet? Or did Soul of the Harvest not enter the battlefield this turn? I might have screwed this up. Oh boy. I think I screwed this up. I think he cast it earlier. It's been so long since I focused on the actual game. I was talking to chat for so long I didn't even notice the game. Please? It didn't. No. All right, that was bad. That was not a good turn. That was a punt. Oops. Yeah, I was flashed. And I drew him a card. Alright, that was not great. Okay, Scavenging Grounds. Nice. And we don't have a punt counter yet. Scavenger Grounds is kind of icky for us. He's attacking. He's attacking Afro, who has an 8/8. Does he have trickery? That's a 6/6, and this is an 8/8. Maybe the other one, though, is because stacks can take a long time to win. People don't like being forced to watch play when else play. I don't think it's that. I think it's like people want to cast spells, and that's why people don't like stacks. Is like you're not letting me play my game. But it is also true that like people don't like watching one person play solitaire. So any solitaire deck is kind of boring to watch or to play against, like Storm decks, for example. Basically anything that kind of spins its wheels too long is kind of boring. He doesn't block with the Verazol. He's respecting the pump possibility. Because he could have just like blocked here and then blocked 6 here or 3 here. I'm the editor, man. All right, he does have an answer. So I guess Ulrich was kind of an obvious choice here. People don't like playing against counterspell deck either for the same reason. They just want to have their spells actually resolve. I mean, do I cast it? I don't. Nah. I don't. Yeah, I don't want to draw him another card. I don't want to get a scorned villager out of this thing. I'm gonna say no. Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I really want that Soul of the Harvest. Mm-mm. All right, there's a cycle. What to do? What to do? Okay, Nissa's Pilgrimage. That's fine. All right, so he doesn't do much. I think we're gonna go for the cast Haggard Mauling on the Soul of the Harvest. Cast the Tragic Slip on the Verazol. We're not gonna get two creatures off. So we're not gonna get draw two cards off the Soul of the Harvest. We're gonna kill the Verazol. I think that's the correct play. Unfortunately, we don't get maximum value, but we're gonna catch Dredge Mire, draw one card, and go from there, I guess. Boop. OK Vamputer is going for something. Ooh. Yeah, that was. I guess that wasn't a great play on my part. All right, we just get the Soul of the Harvest, which is not ideal. Huh. All right, we pass. So far, not doing so well. We really need to hit some of our card draw, or a tutor into our card draw to really get back into this game. All right, Verizal's back. Five counters on it this time. I usually go for like a round number, an even number, but five is okay. Now he's gonna kick a spell. All right, Thicket Elemental. Any advice for dealing with a Kenrith deck that runs every toxic combo card ever printed in Magic? If you don't like playing with a person, you just don't play with that person. I think that's the easiest and most mature way of doing it. Is you just like talk to them and be like, hey, I don't like playing against that deck. Could you please swap it out for something? Um, if you really want to like meta him, you probably want to like run like Ashiok effects, or just like run an aggro deck and kill him quickly, stuff like that. Hey, Mudsta, how's it going? So we're still just waiting for some action, you know, waiting for some of our card draws to show up. Thicket Elemental doing its thing. Virazal doing its thing. Generic calling noises. Deck thinning is not really statistically significant. So, I mean, if you get a lot of lands out of your deck, then yeah, it starts to matter. But it's not a huge deal. If you do a little bit of it. I think Frank Carson wrote a good article on that, like the results of deck thinning and how many lands you have to get out of your deck before it actually really matters. And it's more than you think. Mm-mm. Dad ready. Uh, so this game is going not great, I guess. I don't know. It seems like we're just hitting a bunch of lands and not really doing much. We just really need to find some of our hand refillers. We aren't finding it yet. How many refillers are you running, Tomer? The list is in the in the video description, YouTube description. There, I finally got it right. But we have a lot of card draw on the deck. We have a lot of card draw on the deck. Yeah, we do need some card draw. Card draw would be good. Do you think a card in white that does something like whenever an opponent searches their library for a treasure, create a treasure will work to counter green ramp? I mean, it would be good for white. It doesn't really stop green from doing green things, but it would be like it would help white catch up significantly. It would be good for them. Man. Yeah, the thing I'm more interested in is having some checks and balances for the green player as opposed to just letting all the other colors catch up to the ridiculousness that is white. That's more what I'm aiming for. Like, yeah, you could add ways for white to catch up to green by like taxing them whenever they or like getting treasure tokens when they shirts. But I'd be much more interested in more like leaning in what's it called? Leaning in arbiter effects where it's like you just can't search unless you have to pay extra mana to do so. That is more interesting to me, and I feel like is should be more available to other colors as well, and just more pushed. All right, so we're pretty much out of the game for a long time now. I'm assuming that now that they've drawn 6 extra cards, they're probably going to be able to cast Sasea next turn, reveal their hands with 7 or more lands in hand, flip it, and then cast a giant X spell. The green opponent or the werewolf opponent has just like a lot of value going on. And the Verazal player is just going to cast big hit spells, and there's not much we can do about it. We're like at least a turn away from actually even doing anything to even advance our battlefield. Like we just need to have to top deck a card draw spell. We just need to top deck some card draw. And then the turn after that, maybe we'll be able to do anything with the cards that we have in our hand, but we are super far behind now. Super duper far behind. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Man, it's just very unlucky. Like, I think this deck could do a lot better than it's currently doing. It's just not doing it. It ain't doing it. And it's not that these decks are overpowered or anything. These are not pub stomper decks. It's just that we're drawing swamps. I guess that is where we're at. Drawing swamps. Cool. Well, yeah. What about white land ramp cards similar to Alms Collector? So here's the thing about white. White doesn't actually need more ramp. Like white is actually good with ramp. This is like a weird thing that like Wizards of the Coast has been mentioning multiple times. White actually has decent ramp. They have better ramp than like blue, for example. They have like I have the White Orchid. They have Warrior's Charger. They have the Hawk, which is fine, I guess. But like white's ramp is just as good, if not better, than blue. It's I would say it's kind of equivalent to black. Black has a lot of like these swamp doubling effects. For example, they have Cabal Coffers, they have Cabal Stronghold, they have Crypt Gas. They have all these ways of late game generating an obscene amount of ramp. But their early ramp potential is just mana rocks. Like they don't have any early ramp potential that's particularly exciting. Cabal Coffers requires, I don't know, like 5 swamps on the battlefield before you can even tap it to start generating mana out of it. So yeah, it's just like, So with white having ramp, it's like more of like a question of like, does it is it is it needed? And I don't think it's needed. I think what white suffers from is from card draw. White just does not have access to good card draw effects. But like whenever people keep talking about like white ramp effects, it's like the white's ramp is fine. I don't know. It's all right. It's not bad. All right. So there's no good creatures to grab. So we're just gonna grab the Knight's Whisper and hope for the best. Black has rituals, yeah. Black does have rituals. That's a good point. But my point is that black's not like so insane in the ramp department that it like makes like white like. Here's the thing. So black has probably the second best ramp options after green. What does red have? Red has what? Mana Geyser. Mana Geyser is great in multiplayer. What else does it have? They have Curse of Opulence. They have Darkside Extortionist. Those are two excellent cards. But beyond that, they have other rituals which are not very good, like Rite of Flame, Pyretic Ritual. All these things are not that great in terms of ramp effects. They're pretty limited on ramp effects. What does blue have? Blue doesn't even have like I can't name a single blue ramp spell that isn't affected by like artifacts. Like you have like that mana dork that like taps, but it can only tap to cast artifact spells. I forget the name of it. Seething Song's not that great. Red has Dockside Extortionist. Yes, sure. Brass's Brownie is a very late game thing and it's pretty situational. But white also has excellent options as well. It's not so far behind the other colors that it like necessarily is like this big thing that it needs, is my point. The thing that white really struggles with is card draw. Blue has High Tide, fantastic. That's it. It's not like they have like insane options. They have like one or two good cards, but like, you know what white has? White has Smothering Tithe. Like, Dreamscape Artist is bad. I'm sorry. Dreamscape Artist is not a good card. So my point is that, like, yeah, white has Smothering Tithe. So picking, like, one or two cards from each color, white is not that far behind in terms of the other options. I would say, like, the best ramp option is clearly green, and then probably black. And then after that, it's pretty even. Like, I would say blue, red, and white all have some powerful options. And unless you're trying to go like full CDH, like Dockside Extortionist is absurd, right? Like Dockside Extortionist at play at high levels is an insane card. But focusing on just one card doesn't mean that what are we gonna grab here? Do we want to grab Judge Meyer again? I guess we do. Narrowing in on one card doesn't mean like the entire color is like good or bad. It means that they have one like good highlight. So yeah, I don't think white is that far behind overall in terms of the ramp potential. I think card draw is where they're really struggling in. I can name like a lot of really good card draw effects in basically every single color that isn't white. And white, I can name maybe like five cards that I would consider good card draw in white. And that's it. Blue has Urza. I mean, but you're focusing on like very, very specific applications, right? I'm now convinced that white has better ramp than blue and red. It depends. Like if you go to CDH, one of the best ramp cards is Dockside Extortionist. Does that matter for most other play groups? Probably not. Like Dockside Extortionist is insane. It's one of the most powerful ramp cards in the entire format. Does that mean red has amazing ramp? No, not really. It means they have one good card. They have one exceptionally good card. So I wouldn't say like red is particularly great at ramping. Black has Cabal Stronghold. Black has good late game ramp effects. They have Crypt Gas. They have a lot of doubling effects, swamp doubling effects that are really good. They have like Mangara, Mind's Eye, etc. I mean, every color has Mind's Eye. That's not particularly a white thing. And in fact, other colors can use Mind's Eye better. Like red can just cheat it into play with a Goblin Welder effect. Mangara's not. Mangara's fine, but it's not particularly great. It's like if Mangara was a blue card, you wouldn't really run it. It's fine, but it's not great. So that's the problem with white is that I would say like Mentor of the Meek is good, but it costs mana to activate every single time, and you also have to run a mini deck or a tokens deck. Land tax is probably one of the most efficient card advantage sources in the game. It's a 1 mana, and you can get up to 3 lands every single turn afterwards. That's really good value, but you're stuck with lands. You're not getting non-land cards out of it. What else? What else? What else? I guess you could say Sage's Reverie is a really good white card that is card advantage. But you have to be stuck in auras to use it. And you have to have a lot of auras on the battlefield. Bygone Bishop exists, but it's also very not efficient. It's just like a poor man's Mentor of the Meek. Yeah, the options are pretty bad. You need to rely on artifacts, and thankfully, white is really good at equipment support. They are the best color for equipment support. They have like Open the Army and Steel Stoneforge Mystic and the Stone Hero Giant, and all these ways of finding equipments, and those equipments themselves can draw you cards like Mask of Memory and whatnot. That's the best way to draw cards in white. But I mean, you're kind of pigeonholed into the equipment archetype to take advantage of all those indirect white card draw options. Leyline Tyrant's not really ramp though. Leyline Tyrant lets you store excess mana. That's not exactly ramp. We would like a board wipe. See, the problem is that also at this point, like I think I only have 2 board wipes in my deck total. I have Mutilate and stuff because generally speaking, I have a lot of ways to like make everybody sacrifice and a lot of direct kill spells. But I don't have a lot of ways to just like kill the board once I'm super behind. I have Oblivion Stone, I have Mutilate. Basically, I need to top deck that. I need to top deck like a Mutilate or Oblivion Stone just to stay in this game. At this point, we're super far behind. So this might be another game that we just don't get to use footage-wise. Even though it's an interesting game for our opponents, nobody is like so far ahead that it's a bad game for anybody else. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to be using my perspective for the abridged gameplay video. So me not doing anything the entire game is probably not gonna be entertaining for the viewers. Cool. What do you think about equipment being errated to enter the battlefield, equip it to a creature? I would think it's bad. I wouldn't like that. I think like what's the point of auras? If equipments get to auto attach all the time to creatures when they enter the battlefield, then what's the point of having auras in the game? Like auras are supposed to be more efficient in terms of like you get to enchant a creature as soon as it enters the battlefield, but when that creature dies, the aura is gone too. If equipments just always enter the battlefield and equip automatically, which I think is just a design mistake, honestly, then it feels like auras are just like a bad version of equipments. I thought the point of equipments was that like they have a higher cost where you have to cast them and then equip them, but then when the creature dies, you still have that equipment around, and you can re-equip it later on, and you have the flexibility of changing what it's equipped to, even if the creature's not dead. If you remove that drawback, and the just equipment is always auto-equip when they enter the battlefield, and there's no point for auras. Auras feel like just a bad version of equipments, that's kind of what they feel like these days. Honestly, I feel like I don't like equipments enter the battlefield and equipping. I think that's just a mistake. Um, it's about finding a consistent player power upping decks becomes an issue when you start focusing on winning. So wild to me, Citizen Champion is not white. I mean, green has always been the color, the secondary color for Enchantress. The initial Enchantress creatures like Argothian Enchantress, and I don't remember what the first Enchantress was. I think it was like Alpha or something. Verduran Enchantress might have been the first one. It was initially green was initially the Enchantress color, and white was secondary to it. So Citizen and Champion being in green isn't necessarily the weirdest thing. It makes sense. It's just more the frustrating thing is that green is now so good in so many aspects. They're basically the de facto land they're the de facto land color, and they're also the creature color. It would have been nice if they shifted the enchantress aspect away from green and more into white. That's what I would have done. So Citizen Enchantress Citizen Champion being green is like, yeah, it makes sense, but it would have been nice if they changed it over to white as a general rule. Thor wouldn't pay to equip his hanger. I mean, that's a good point. I like more cards that allow you to equip at instant speed. That's some, but I like Lin and Shikari for that reason. I have it in my Akiri deck because Akiri can unequip at instant speed to give a creature indestructible. So I like it there. I don't know. I feel like pushing equipments too much kind of makes auras feel like garbage. That's my opinion. Like I like auras. I like the differentiating auras between equipments, and I feel like that line gets blurred and blurred more and more as they keep pushing equipments for some reason. I don't know. They really like equipments, not so much auras. I'm not sure why. Insurance should be white. Yeah, I mean like I think Enchantress should be primary white and secondary green, or even tertiary green. And right now, I mean, historically at the beginning, Enchantress was primary green. So this would be a color shift, and I think that is definitely a needed color shift though. Like, yeah, I think that would be good for the game. The reason they said they won't change it is to white is because they don't want you to be able to chain removal spells like Banish and Light. Yeah, that's at least what Mark Rosewater says. But Mark Rosewater kind of says whatever kind of is the company policy at the time, and it'll change whatever he says based on what the company policy is at the time. If you know what I mean? Like he'll one day he'll argue something, and then the next week he'll argue whatever else the company has decided on. I think green showcasing that they have both the best, like they have good removal options now, and they have good card draw options now, and they have good ramp options now. It kind of feels outdated to say like, oh yes, white has like good removal, therefore they can't have good card draw because then you just be chaining removal spells, because like other colors are doing that already, so why not white? Commander, I think white has been getting more life gain synergies. If they could implement some more card draw alongside, it would be nice. Like if you would gain 5 life and draw 1 card instead. I'm kind of like, I agree with that. I think life gain is kind of like primary white and has always been like it's secondary black perhaps. So that's an avenue that he can build upon. I just don't like the idea of life gain getting pushed too much because. While yes, that is in White's wheelhouse to have like a life gain archetype. When the life gain archetype does also increase your health total, so it makes it harder for aggro decks to kill you. And if you push life gain as an archetype too much, that kind of invalidates. Oops. So we can get 3 things here. That invalidates aggro strategies. So I don't actually want life gain to be too good because then like aggro decks just suffer, and I kind of want aggro decks to be around, to be honest. I think aggro decks are good. All right, so let's start with the Dredge the Mire. See what we draw off it. Glacial Chasm is hella bad for the game. I get to play, but this game needs to move forward, not stall out more. I mean, yeah, I get it, but I don't think this is a game that I'm going to be using for footage wise. So I'm just kind of going through the motions right now. What's keeping me engaged in this game and not like just auto yielding is the chat. You guys are giving me some good questions that I get to answer. So you're keeping me sane. Oh, they can scavenger grounds in response. I think that's what Tuk Tuk was considering. He was pausing for a bit. He could scavenger grounds in response, and just cripple me. Uh, and I think that's actually the correct play to do. If I was Tuk Tuk Jones, I would crack that scavenger grounds, but he does not. So cool. So we do get to draw two cards, and we get to have some sort of action in this game. All right, we do have some action. Unfortunately, we still need to find a board wipe because we actually just can't deploy anything until like the Ovenwall tracker, for example, gets removed. I'll just play the Polluted Mire. All right, we haven't found something too interesting yet, but we have a price of fame that we can like kill something and go from there. I do enjoy a good aggro deck. I don't know if someone's asked yet, but what were you hoping for in Legends? Phyrexian Cauldra. That is what I want. That's all I've asked for is I want a Phyrexian version of Cauldra. Give that to me, Wizards, please. Budget Perforos card. I did not. Favorite non-budget new Perforos card. I love the game footage you put up recently. Favorite new? I think Terror of the Peaks. That's a good one. That's the dragon that Warstorm surges whenever there's a creature enters the battlefield. That one's sick. That one's a goodie. Adhesion Archer would be good ramp. That could also no banned. I love my Ovia deck. It's one of my budget decks. I'm just trying to go as wide as possible. Wow, what half a beer chat, and I'm already just slurring. This is sad. This is how my alcohol tolerance is. Hey Tomer, have you considered Species Specialist as a card in Toshiro? It's one of my favorite options in Toshiro as it draws cards while chaining some Doomblades together. I think I would. It's fine. I think that card's a little bit better when you yourself are running like a tribal deck, and you're a tribal sacrifice deck, for example. But I wouldn't mind what's it called? There's a demon. It's like a 6-drop demon that whenever an opponent's creature dies, you draw a card. That might not be terrible here, actually. Where should we go back to Kamigawa? I mean, we might actually be going to like Cyberpunk Kamigawa, so. Cauldron died in the lore? It doesn't matter. People die. It's like comic books. If somebody dies, it doesn't really matter. And also, Cauldron was an avatar, right? If they destroyed the equipment, then Cauldron would probably be gone. But if it's just the avatar of Cauldron that died, it doesn't matter. You pay an additional one and you make another Cauldron token. Whatever. All right, so he's balancing things. He is balancing things. Some rumors we might, yes. Budget drinking. Look, I did not. I shelled out good money for this Jelly King. I don't know what you're talking about. Budget drinking. This is like a $4 Canadian beer. I'll have you know. All right, so he bounces Skull Clamp. He's looping Skull Clamps, which are Skull Winders. So he can always just like copy bounce this Into the Royal, getting back like Into the Royal or a Blink from the Eye. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. An avatar of New Phyrexia already exists. Glissa dusted it with the Green Sun. Well, first of all, that book was terrible. And second of all, if my hazy memory of that book is correct, what I believe happened was she only dusted the avatar of Cauldron. And even if she dusted the equipment of Cauldron, you could just write like one sentence saying that, oh yes, the Phyrexians found the fragments of Cauldron and reassembled it and Phyrexionized it. It's the easiest writing possible to fix that issue. By the way, how cool would it be if Phyrexia went to Kaladesh? I think it would be interesting, yeah. Hey Autumn, how's it going? That's my point. That's how you make aggro good. Okay. Light or dark beer toner? Light beer always. I'm a baby. I'm a baby and I like my baby drinks. One place something to be instantly since it's true, not a May. And remember that unless the Phyrexians have access to everything you made, probably they could make zombie Memnarch. It doesn't matter. You could travel to any 4 countries for a whole year. Which countries would you choose? Thailand would be a top one. I still have to do Thailand at some point. Japan I've only been to for like 4 days. 2 days? 2 days. I've been in Japan for 2 days. So I would say Thailand number 1. I love Thai food. So, and just Thailand's just a gorgeous country and I love it. I would love to go there. So Thailand, Japan, 2 more. I want to do Eastern Europe. My parents and my grandparents and whatnot are from Romania, so I do want to visit Romania at some point. So Romania would be one, and then I don't know, some nice spot in Eastern Europe, some place with a lot of history and like old buildings and whatnot. I would like to do. And if not that, then I would go back to Italy because Italy was one of my favorite countries that I ever visited. So that would be it. Thailand, Japan, Romania, and I don't know. Somewhere in Eastern Europe. That was a good question. I never thought about that. Urbrasker builds Cauldron because Urbrask does what he wants. I back that. Did you like the mono green scroll deck? My husband wants me to ask Mike Fry. I think you emailed it to me. I think Mike emailed it to me, Rebecca, but I haven't looked at it yet. I think it was emailed to me like this week, maybe like yesterday or the day before, so I haven't checked it out yet. But once I do, I will reply. Also, for what it's worth, making Cauldron would technically be against Phyrexian's ideology because they want to miss. They can make a fleshy Cauldron. I'm down for fleshy Cauldron. I love when Toshiro gets to do Toshiro things. It's such a cool mono black commander. Yeah, unfortunately, this game, not great for Toshiro. This is not a great Toshiro showing. he didn't really get to do much, and we just kind of didn't hit any card draw and kind of just watched our opponents do stuff. In fact, like most of the cards that we have in our hand are just basically Afro giving us a bunch of extra cards of Skullwinder, and then Tuck Tuck Jones deciding not to pop the Scavenger Grounds when he could have. So definitely not a great game for us. Not a great showcase. Which I mean, obviously, is going to happen sometimes. What if Hedron Archive was Paris? then I would let Cauldron die. If Hedron Archive was Power Source, I'd let it die. Um, okay. I don't know what's being targeted at this point. Transforms it, and target creature gets +4/+4. Okay. Um, create an artificial avatar to. Yeah. Okay. What if no? Yeah, I got haste. Okay. Are you winning, son? Not really. um, Krakow. Where is that? Also, Spain. I want to hit up Spain at some point. There's a lot of places I still need to hit up. Should definitely email my Savala deck. Yeah, it doesn't have a strong win condition, but the man does it not die. Yeah, I mean, one of my first budget articles was Savala. It was the Selesnya Savala, and at the time it was like the strongest EDH deck I ever made for the budget restriction. I don't know how much it would be these days. I built Umorphone, everything tribal and paper. It's really fun, but it's somehow too strong for the playgroup that I play with. Any fun lords I can add without making the deck too strong? If you go to the primer that I wrote, if you go to the very bottom of the deck, of the article, there's my up-to-date personal everything tribal deck. And you might find some new spice in there. One of the latest cards that I added to it were 3 party cards. I added General Tazri, or Tazri Beacon of Unity, or whatever. That's a kind of cool lordish card. And then I added Coveted Prize, which is the new tutor, party tutor. And I added one more card, Linvala. The new Linvala is actually pretty solid too. I actually played the deck, the updated deck, in against EDH Recast, and it did really well. So I was really happy with that. So if you want to get any more new ideas, then check out the primer / check the bottom of the list. Fleshy Cauldron, Zero Fluid. It's the same level. Fleshy Cauldron is the same level as Zero Fluid, I guess. It doesn't have this. It doesn't roll off the tongue that well. How much card draw is in the deck? If you go to the YouTube, there's a deck list in the video description of the stream. You can see how much card draw there is. There's a lot of card draw. It's not lacking in the card draw department, I will say. It's just that we didn't hit it. It's not here yet. What about they get completed Glissa and Future of the Reboot? I don't want Glissa anywhere near Cauldron. Glissa is terrible. If you read the books, Glissa's awful. Bad character. How do you? I mean, I guess it's not the fault of Glissa. It's more of the writing. All the characters were terrible. I wish they all just had a calamity. The best thing that happened to Mirrodin was Phyrexia. Let it be known, folks. How do you decide which commanders to put in the polls? Do you play any submitted decks? I just choose the ones that I'm personally interested in, and then I let the viewers decide from there. Do you play any submitted decks? Not right now. At some point, maybe. What are you saying? Kaldra is efficient on mana. What it needs a piece that I don't know what that means. I'm gonna pass. Speaking of Kaldra, I just watched Commander Clash where he played Nazan. I fell for that. Yeah, that definitely was an ouchie for me, but people enjoyed it. Krakow, Poland. I should have known that. Maybe if I was sober, I would have known that. Poland's also up there though. Just like beautiful old buildings, old architecture. That's my jam. What underrepresented tribe do you wish get more love and support? Moonfolk. Moonfolk deserve a second set that will really increase their viability. I want to see some more Moonfolk tribal. Everything not zombies. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess Kithkin would be good for people too. Yeah, but I actually spoke to Richard, and we briefly discussed. I mentioned like how during the Command Fest, there was a tease that there would be a new Kithkin card that would show up in Commander Legends, and we got clarification from Gavin that we should keep our expectations low. So it's probably just a reprint, or it's probably just not a very interesting Kithkin card, to be honest. So I relayed that to Richard, and he said good. He was happy that it wasn't a very interesting Kithkin card because he doesn't want the tribe to actually be too viable. Because part of the fun for him is finding a tribe that has very, very little synergy, very little support, and you know, making the deck work somehow. So if Kipken actually got a lot of support, then it would be less interesting for them. Something to keep in mind. So he actually doesn't want to see more Kithkin support. Meanwhile, me, I do want to see more Moonfolk support. That is something I want to see. All right, we're going to what? Turn off auto yields. I turned off auto yields, did I not? Man, I'll be upset if the auto yields this didn't work out. Man, I wanted to respond to this. Come on. I did put the stops correctly, did I not? I'll be very oh man. I had to stop properly. Wow. I guess we just lose now. I had or I'm pretty sure. I mean I drank half a beer, so who knows anymore. But I had to stop for trying to kill the Society before it flipped. And now I cannot. So that is cool, I guess. Well, I guess now I'll just auto yield. I don't know. The disappointment is palpable? Yes. Yeah, that was definitely a disappointing turn because I that's literally what I was waiting for. Like I turned off the auto yield specifically so I can stop this Sisaya flip. Yeah, feed the swarm works. I get it. Yes, yes, chat. I get that feed the swarm works. This is a sorcery though. They can still just go insane on this turn, so it doesn't matter. Like yes, I can kill the enchantments, but they get to have an insane turn that they shouldn't have been able to do because I could have stopped it. That is my disappointment. I totally understand that I can kill it on my turn, which is irrelevant. How do you stop the flip? I could have just killed it with Price of Fame. The ability would go on the stack, and then I would kill it with Price of Fame. Is the thing. Oh, you can just respond. Oh, is that true? How does this work even? Reveal your hand. If you Oh, okay. Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. All right. I'm no longer upset. Thank you, chat, for pointing out that I was wrong. Much appreciated. All right. So we've played. We're about an. we're about 2 hours into this game, and nothing interesting has happened for our side, which kind of is a feel bad. Uh, in Casa Magus, drawing a card. Scoop and go to the next game. I mean, the game isn't bad. It's just going to be. I don't know how interesting it will be if I don't get to do anything, which is so selfish. It sounds so bad. Like, oh, I don't get to have a fun game. Therefore, this game is therefore bad. I mean, these guys are having a fun time. Like, everybody's jostling for dominance, and everybody's having a good time. It's just that my deck is not functioning. Maybe I'll get to use this. Maybe I use this. I'll see. I like this is clearly an interesting game on the other side of the table, right? So maybe I'll just take this footage itself and make it a bridge gameplay, and maybe people will still enjoy it. I hope. But if people are being like, "Oh, your Toshiro deck did nothing. I'm not gonna watch," blah, then that sucks. Um, all right, so we're just gonna nip the Sasaya in the bud. Do we just cast? I guess we just cast a Shiro again. What's Remorseless Punishment? I guess maybe we should have cast Toshiro first, but... Okay, Cabal Ritual Spice, I guess. Alright, we're gonna remove auto yields again and hope for the best. Remorseless Punishment. Oh, I don't have this in the deck. This is a sorcery, so it's not really that interesting to me. Wait, is this still Ulrich Verzal game? Yep. Still the Ulrich Verzal game. Are you even a commander player if you haven't played a game where you were part spectator because the deck just wouldn't cooperate? Yeah, I mean, this happens all the time. I'm just like, I wouldn't even be bummed out at all if this was just like a regular stream, but like at the back of my head, I'm always thinking about like, is this game going to be entertaining when I edit it? Is it going to be entertaining when I post it on like an edited version on the channel? And like, I think it is. I think it is an interesting game, but if I'm personally not doing a lot on the game, will people enjoy it? I don't know, because I'm the point of view of the viewers, right? So if my particular deck isn't doing too well, is that going to affect the enjoyment of people who watch it? I don't know. I don't know. Do not have an answer. X equals 6. They're stealing the worm coil engine. Big respect. Mm-mm-mm. Tomer was the person who made me aware that Toshiro exists, and I love the card because the commander is in mono black. He isn't doing what other mono black wants to do. Yeah, um, it's a very unique commander for sure. Very cool in that regard. I very much like it. It's unfortunate that I haven't gone to showcase what Toshiro does because I do think like the card is like the deck is I think pretty decent. It hasn't had a good showing for 3 games in a row, which kind of is the frustrating part. Um, but I do think like it's performing worse than usual. But the problem is that like small sample size and all that. I've seen plenty of YouTube or bridge games where the point of view player commentator had a bad game and still enjoying the video. That's the hope. I mean, like, if this is the video that I have, if this is the game I have to be showing, hopefully people still enjoy it. Exile all cards from all graveyards. Okay. Hmm. We have a tragic slip. We have what else? I do want to kill the Umezawa tracker because I'm really getting tired of all my stuff dying. Let's Cabal Ritual and see what we can do. What power level would you say your Virazol deck is? Like 6? 6 out of 10? I don't know. It doesn't have any combos, but it's pretty powerful. I don't know. Power levels are all just, I don't know. They're things. Okay, what do we kill? What do we kill? Do we want to cast anything after this is the question. So we can cast this for 2, and then we'll have 3 mana remaining. And then it doesn't really matter what we cast after that. So let's just cast Price of Fame for 4. 4, and then we'll just cast a Tragic Slip afterwards. So what do we want to kill here? Mm-mm-mm. Let's kill. I'm probably going to kill the Incubation Druid and the Ovenwall Tracker. I think that's fine. Or maybe, let's kill Auric. Let's kill Auric. Yeah, let's do that. Because then we can Price of Fame again, I guess? I don't know. All right. Ooh. I do like me a Siphon Mind. Let's put that on top, down bottom. And now, I think we just Tragic Slip the Umezawa tracker. And I think that's all we want to do. I don't think we want to like Cabal Ritual. I mean, I guess we could Cabal Ritual. I mean, we could just Ritual anyway. But do I want to like Tendrils? Hmm. That bird of paradise has been alive since turn one. We haven't had a board wipe. This board has not been wiped a single time. All right, so we could Tendrils of Corruption right now, but I don't think it's worth it. I think we killed everything that I wanted to kill. Kill the bird, send a message. That's fine. That's fine. Remember, love is pretty dangerous. For example, Carthage got destroyed by romance. Okay. Hi, Tomer. Hope you have a nice week and everything is going well for you. Thank you, polite girl. I appreciate that. Ritual gain. Man, that bird of paradise has been alive. Yep. Yep. So we're kind of like still sticking in there. The scavenger grounds exiling kind of hurts, but I mean, it was mostly to shut down Afro. I think we're just kind of like skirting by the mercy of our opponents at this point. they're just kind of letting us stick around and not affecting us too much. At the beginning, we kind of got hosed pretty hard. We got our early Sol Ring and Everflowing Chalice blown up at the beginning, and Toshiro got killed off early. But at this point, they're just kind of like fighting amongst themselves, and we're just kind of staying around. So maybe at some point we'll get to capitalize. Next turn we get to draw 3 cards off Siphon Mine, hopefully, and then from there maybe we get to do something interesting. Are Oblivion Stone and Mutilate enough sweeper effects? I think so, Cannon Spectacle. I think so. I think in most cases, remember also I'm running a lot of tutor effects. In most cases, I have a lot of card draw, a lot of tutor effects. If I need to find a board wipe like Oblivion Stone and Mutilate, I could find it. But the draw is very awkward so far. Yeah. Loved your first Zata deck on Commander Clash. That was a wild game. Parallels are things for sure. I try to keep it in mind as I was a bad guy in my group. My decks are more efficient than what the group functions at. I just did powerful. Yeah, the Zata deck is also one of like penny for penny, or I don't know what the terminology would be. Not pound for pound, but for like penny for penny or budget for budget. I think Zata, like at a $50 budget, is like one of the strongest $50 decks you can make. It's very explosive. Like obviously, it can get shut down very easily. That's the weakness of the deck. If like people just make concerted efforts to take out Zata, then it's gone. But like the deck can win pretty consistently on like turn 4 or so when it goldfishes, which is pretty insane. So if you're looking for like a budget deck that can just like pub stomp, Zada's definitely a good option for like a $50 mark. But it's very much like it's a one trick pony. That's what it does. I'm just trying to tune your list to fit my own budget and preferences. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not saying this deck is perfect by any means, but I do think that it's kind of running a little bit worse than usual, and I do think 2 board wipes for the deck is correct. And sometimes I would run like more board wipes, but I think 2 board wipes in a Toshiro deck is good, just because the deck runs an abundance of creature removal and just removal in general. That you don't really need that many board wipe options because you're naturally going to have so many ways to kill your opponent's creatures. Just right now, the deck is being mana flooded, and we're not seeing a lot of card draw effects to really keep up with the rest of the table. And the rest of the table has basically had so many turns at this point to get ahead of where we are that we're just so far behind, and hence the table is so advanced compared to us. And also, I think none of these decks are very interested in wiping the board either. The Verazal deck, at least my version of the Verazal deck, has like 2 bounce effects, or 2 mass bounce effects opposing opponents. The Werewolf deck, I'm not sure how many board wipes they're running. And I bet you the Society deck has like 0 board wipes. Maybe like an Ugin at most. So we're at a table that we're basically the only person who does have access to a lot of creature removal, and if we stumble on answering the board, that means that the rest of the table just doesn't really do anything, and they get to explode. So it's kind of like just an awkward situation. But I don't think more than 2 board wipes is necessary for the deck. Could you build a budget Ooze tribal deck? I mean, I could, but there's not really ooze support, right? Like, I think the most common thread you'll find between oozes is they like adding +1/+1 counters on themselves. So in theory, you could just like focus on putting a bunch of oozes and running a +1/+1 counter theme, but I'm not sure how interesting it would be. Something to consider, maybe. It's probably because it's bread and butter is weird cantrips in pumps and red that are not staples. Yeah, Zada is very cheap because it capitalizes on using a lot of cards that are generally very cheap. The only time that Zada was like, for the longest time, it was an incredibly very, very budget friendly deck that almost all of its cards was draft shaft. The only time that some of its cards skyrocketed in price was when Feather came out. Feather uses a lot of the same cards as Zada uses, but is an incredibly much more popular commander. It's Boros, and people like Boros, and it's an angel, and people really like angels, and it does something that's unique in Boros where it's not combat focused, it's more like generally card advantage focused. So people just loved Feather, and then all the cards that were good with Feather that were in low supply skyrocketed in price, and that kind of hurt Zada's budget in a way. With some of the cards, at least. Man, I'm in a rambling mood when I have a half a beer in me. My goodness. I don't think I have ever seen you run Azorius. Is that just a weird happenstance, or do you just not enjoy the color pairing? Well, Travis, next week, or this coming Wednesday, I'm actually going to be running my Isperia deck. If you watched the last Commander Clash, I was running this $50 Isperia Flying Tribal deck that I actually really enjoyed. And I'm going to be running it again for stream. So if you want to see me run Azorius, that's what I'm going to be doing. Oh, and then Varen answered that right afterwards. Didn't read it in time. Biogenic Ooze is ooze support, and the Mimeoplasm. Oh, that's true. Biogenic Ooze is ooze support. So there's one card. Not ooze tribal or most punishment tribal. All 5 CMC discard removal. Oh my. I'm late to the party. Why do you have green permanents? Are you playing Ritual of the Machine? I cast Dredge the Mire. Dredge the Mire says each opponent chooses a creature card in the graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under control. So that's how I stole some of my opponent's creatures. Not combat focused. Say that to my friend coming at me with 44 flying Death Touch Angel. Yeah, I mean, Feather will win with combat damage, but what I meant by that is that most Boris commanders specifically call out combat as part of their text, whereas Feather does not. Feather cares about looping instants, instants and sorceries. It still attacks, but it's not necessarily focused on that, or it doesn't reward you for attacking. So we're gonna draw some cards. That'll be cool. And we're gonna see what we can do. So let's do that. Boop. I think we just activate this, right? Oh yeah, we're gonna take a ton of damage. Oh, beans. I should have killed Rurikthar beforehand. I forgot that it was cast. I was looking at chat so much. Oops. Oops-a-daisy. Well, let me just pretend that was intentional. Do you think you could use footage from EDH and Chill Clips? I like how your Omnat deck performed, and I think more people should see it. That's a good question. Wait, do I just kill everybody? If I cast Cryptghast, and then I Diabolic Tutor, and then I Torment of Hailfire, can I just kill everybody? I'm going to take 12, obviously. No, they're probably not going to die. But I could Cryptghast. Well, let's just draw a card. Maybe we just draw Torment of Hailfire. That'd be cool. Turn off auto yields. So, Diabolic Tutor, and then I have 11 mana, so 22 mana. So I can, yeah. Wait, I can do it for 20, right? Whenever you tap a spell for mana, you add an additional 10. Right? I could Tendrils work far before, but if I do it for 10, then I have to sacrifice 10 things. What does Torment of Hailfire do again? Let's see what it does here. I'm reading it now. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. So not gonna die. Yeah, so let's Tendrils Rurikthar. I'm very excited to just tend them though. You won't kill Tuk Tuk, yeah. Yeah, let's just Tendrils. That's an oops. That's an ouch. Well, let's not extort. I think we still go for the torment, right? Like, we just torment. Hmm. We couldn't have tormented for 14. We would have tormented for 10. 20? I don't know. Maybe we just torment next turn. Hellfire had to be better. I don't know. I'm gonna say no to this. We can still torment for 16. Yeah, maybe this was not great. Mm-mm. I feel like tormenting for 16 is still good. I think we still cast it. Does this not seem good? Torment for x equals 16? I think this is fine. Just notice a Squallmonger. That's a spicy one. Yeah, that one. If they have the highest life total, they just go boom. Yeah, we go for the torment play. Like, I don't think we're gonna survive a turn cycle. So we could have done it. We could have done x equals 20, which I guess probably was better. Probably was better. We would have taken 12 though. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the correct play was. I'm sure somebody could have sussed it out. Alright, we're just gonna auto yield. I'm not sure why the Squallmonger is doing damage, but okay. That's the weirdness with an EDH game, by the way. Like, we were doing nothing for the entirety of the game. Our opponents pretty much left us alone after they blew up some of our early stuff. And then eventually we just make a ton of mana. We tutor up a big old finisher, and what do you know? Stuff ends up being really good for us all of a sudden. Oh, that's why. I didn't realize the Glacial Chasm combo. That's actually really smart. Yeah. That's actually really smart because they don't actually get damaged by the Squallmonger. So they could just dump all that excess mana from Sasaya or whatever into the Squallmonger without taking damage. Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Torment of Hellfire X equals 16. So was the X equals 20 the correct play? We would have taken 12 additional damage or something, and we would have gained less life. We'd be at a low health total. So if Tuk Tuk, like, I think this cripples Afro and it cripples OK Vamp Tutor. I think both of them would be done. But I don't know, would an X equals 20 kill Tuk Tuk Jones? Or put him in a position where we don't immediately die from Tuk Tuk Jones? I'm not sure. I wasn't really thinking. I wasn't doing math or anything. Who are we running today? We're running Toshiro Umezawa. He is our commander. Thank you for the content. I'm glad you like it. Nobody will leave you alone after this. That's kind of a it's kind of a thing. We kind of showed our hand. Hello. Really hope we don't have to resolve all these triggers. Which set of lands from? They're Asia Pacific lands. APAC lands are called. Special, super duper special lands. They're hard to find. So many triggers. Fun fact, you are the second person I have heard of with your first name. When I was an angsty teen hanging in the local cemetery, there's a huge weird grave, and the person's first name was Tomer. Well, Tomer is a fairly popular name in Israel, where I was born. So, chances are that was an Israeli Jew who was there. Lands look like Lorwyn. Oh, these are, no, Asia Pacific lands. Definitely not Lorwyn lands. Looks like this Toshiro run is going to be better than the first. Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the game wasn't very interesting on our point of view, but eventually we just dropped lots of mana and the one. So that's cool. I have a feeling that probably like the Torment of Hailfire probably should have just done X equals 20 and went from there, but alas. I thought your name was Timer. I mean, that's the autocorrect. Always getting me with Timer. These should be a good capstone to the video. I think so. So it resolves. I think X equals 14 wouldn't have been good, right? Because then Tuk Tuk Jones would still have the if I did X equals 20 instead of X equals 14, then like Tuk Tuk Jones would only have to like lose an additional 3 life and maybe a couple more lands, and he'd be fine. He'd be chilling. He'd probably hold on to the Rurik Thar too, and then we'd be in a bad spot actually. Can we not, Toshiro? Can we not cast this, please? Please, Toshiro, please. I made a Force Combat. Can't wait for you to see it. Send me it in an email. Tomer at MG Goldfish. At least, yeah. Damn, they're $36 each. Old timer. With a name like Timer, do we get clock puns? I mean, if my name was really Timer, I'd probably bust them out. Thanks for the lesson. No problem. Is this a budget deck? Yes. It's $100. If you go to the video description, you can find the list. The one thing I like about Twitch is the fact that you can have near full screen plus chat at the same time. I might do multi-stream. I might do Twitch stream again. Tuk Tuk is dead to Sign in Blood now if you want. I can't cast Sign in Blood right now. Removing the yield on your main phase should you allow you to move past these triggers? Oh, it does. Huh. Alright, do you guys want to see Bushido? Okay, we'll attack like this. Put Tuk Tuk on the defensive. See if he takes the bait. See if he takes the bait. I think it's pretty obvious what I'm doing though. Bushido is like... I never really liked Bushido as a mechanic. I never thought it was very interesting. But whenever this creature blocks or becomes blocked, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn, which is kind of neat. Kind of neat. I love when you can lethal Sign in Blood. Yeah, that's always a good feeling. Also, Mr. Tomer, in a pretty early Commander Clash viewer week, episode 20 memory, you didn't pick my deck, but gave it a shout out in the episode. I appreciate it, but I did make it for you and at 40 ticks budget. I'm sorry I didn't pick it. I don't remember which one it was, but if I give it a shout out, there was probably a good reason. Excluding the lands, it's $100 deck. Yes, these are special super duper lands, but they're not necessary. Any swamp works. You can swap it out for anything. Hey Tomer, since you play games with other content creators, can you ever bring clips from those games? Like, oh yes. Yes, maybe. Yes, I might. If there's ever a good opportunity to do so, yeah. The block also is kind of forced, yeah. They were kind of dead if they didn't block, so. Alright, Verizal comes back. I mean, Verizal can still take it. They have 3 cards in hand. They have a Wormcoil engine, so they're not in lethal range or anything. I was mostly afraid of the Keswick Wolf run. Like, attacking me for a big old Keswick Wolf run could be really bad for us. Now they get to cast a big spell. What about an Among Us themed Commander Clash? How would that work out? I'd be down for it. If we could figure out a good theme for it. Oh, okay. So here's some fighting. They fighting. Okay. So they're about to gain a lot of life out of this, actually. Because the Wormcoil engine gets to fight. And it gets lifelink and all that stuff. So Afro's pulling back out of that. Can I swap it out for Russian foil miscuts and cover snubs? Yeah, for sure. Oh my god, that's a good idea. I don't know how you would do Among Us Travel. That would be sweet, though. Can we get a Zedro profile around Christmas because he gives gifts constantly? I would love to bust out I have a Zedro deck. It's the first Commander deck that I ever made. I would love to have an opportunity to play it again. Extort him to death now? Yeah. The thing is that Afro is about to gain a lot of life. Afro is about to have a ton of life off of this. So I can't extort anybody to death, but I do have a lot of mana outside of the coffers, so we'll see what we can do. All right, now we get to auto yield until here. So Afro's back to 16. Wait, why did the worm coil engine die? Why did the worm coil engine die in the magazine and die? What just happened? Did I miss something? Going for 4 less mana on the Hailfire was a mistake. I mean, we would have been down 12 more life. We would be down more than that. I don't know. I don't think it would have affected Afro that much. He would just sacrifice 4 more lands, right? I think he would have been fine. Opponents stacked the spells in the wrong order? Fought the Soul of the Harvest. Oh, oof. 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 Okay, I see what happened. He stacked it wrong. Haha. Right. Cast Inscription, targeting the Wormcoil engine, fight, maggots the coffers. Yep, June target. Okay. That's an oof. Well, I mean, we don't have anything going on, so there's that. Torment says non-lands. Oh, it's non-land. Oh, okay. I don't have. This is like the first time I'm casting Torment. Oops. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah. Not casting Torment would have killed the Vamp Tutor, and yeah, that's an oops. Oops. That's an oops. Yeah, I should have done it for 4 more. That would have like wiped Afro's board completely, and that would have killed Vamp Tutor completely, and Tuk Tuk would have been probably dead, right? Like I would have attacked him for lethal after that. So all I would have to deal with would be Afro. Fights another target creature. Okay, so they get the Crypt Cast. Fair. It's a fair choice. So the extorting is cut down. This Sign in Blood is going to have to do some work. Repeat the following process. Yeah. It's not the best pull, but I think the right circumstances, Sphinx Bone Wand could be a fun bit of spice for the deck. It's very slow is the problem. Like, it's a late game card, and then you have to build it, and it's just super slow. It's not bad, especially at lower power tables. It's like a thematic way to add to the Spell Slinger spice, but it's super slow. Alright, so we have to figure out a way to kill Afro. The Verazol is actually kind of scary for us. Mm-hmm. So our opponent is a little bit AFK at this point. Don't blame them. It's been a long game, you know. I think we're pushing. It's 2 hours and a half this game so far, I think. If I'm correct. It is a long one. I was kind of hoping to get a second game in, but this game is going quite long. Quite long indeed. Alright, so they discard they sacrifice the Glacial Chasm because they don't want to pay the upkeep because they would die. Now they have 3 cards in hand. What can they do? I'd like to play another. Let's see how quickly this game ends. Hopefully this game ends quick. But if it goes for like another half hour or something, I'm not sure if I have the time. But if this game wraps up quick, which I'm hoping it does, then I will go for another one. This Sign in Blood has to do some serious work, and our top deck has to do some serious work. All right, Mind Stone, cracking the Mind Stone, Desperation, try to find something. All right, there's the crack. Rending Vines, okay. Draws a card. The peppermint rum, chata, and coffee is still full, and this is making a remake. That's awesome. Glad to hear. Yeah, I mean, hopefully not all games. Okay, so we got a Burnish Heart. That's not great to see. But we'll play this and Sign in Blood. See what we hit. Please action. Por favor. Soul Shatter. Alright, what can we get from here? I guess we can kind of go off. Let's tap this. I mean, we could have killed the OK Vamp, but... Burnish Heart deck thinning? I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. Ooh, is this a counter? Okay, he draws cards. Fair. Let's cast you. And I guess we cast this too. Boop. All right. Do we kill Tuk Tuk? I think we do. I think we do. We can't kill OK Vamp Tutor is a problem. So we kill Tuck and go from there. I think we're still behind compared to Afro. Afro can keep recasting Verizal and has 3 cards in hand, and we have a Swamp. So it's not looking great for us. Also, does OK Vamp Tuber have the Fog? I kind of forgot to see if they have the Fog or not. Let's declare blocker steps, please. There it is. All right. Game is ending. Slowly but surely, this game is ending. I think we lose to Afro, to be honest, but we will see. We are definitely out of gas at this point, but hopefully we run out of... Hopefully we stop drawing lands. I'm assuming they recast Verizal and then like cast a giant kick spell. Camera's transformation. Targeting. Okay. The Magus. Fine. Don't want gas, it smells. I mean, it smells good though. Yep, Verizal's back. And they have 4 mana to work with and 3 more cards in hand. Square Tribe Elder being one of them is fine. I like that when the Sakura Tribe Elder cracks. Well, if we had, I just realized we don't have any instants in hand. But if we did have instants, then it would have triggered Toshiro, which is kind of cool. Yeah, the Dust Bowl would have kept my non-basics in check. Attack me. Wonder what the experience on your end with both actively trying to make your best play and trying to respond to chat. I can do mic stuff. Oh, I'm a very bad multitasker. Uh, I don't mean to talk myself up, but like I do play a lot better when I'm not either recording Commander Clash and oh, interesting. When I'm not trying to record Commander Clash and trying to yuck it up and responding to chat, the multitasking is pretty rough on me. If I was taking my ADHD medication when I was doing it, maybe I'd be a little bit better, but I do not. Yeah, but in these games, definitely, like I'm mostly focusing on chat when it gets really hectic. Right now, it's kind of slow, so it's kind of easy. But like at the beginning of the game, I don't know what people were doing. Honestly, was not paying attention. This Nissa emblem is a little bit scary, and the Endless Atlas. I think we are definitely behind at this point. Like, we cannot match the card draw of our opponents. Like, they only have 35 cards left in their deck. They've been going through it pretty fast. Ooh, Aetherflux Reservoir in the graveyard. If you were going to include a card in this deck without regard to budget, what card would you choose? Cabal Coffers. Cabal Coffers is a good one. Mana doublers are really good in this deck. Because, like, Toshiro can do a lot of things per turn, but the mana is the big stopper. Also, having instants in your graveyard is important, but... Alright, deck thinning. Let's thin that deck. Come on, something good. Ah. I mean, I guess. All right, we kill the Blossom, we kill Vamp Tutor, and then we go for Afro. Boom boom. Let's do it like so. Well, I don't kill one of them. I kill two of them. That's the beauty of Toshiro is you get double value out of your removal spells, which is nice. Constant Miss. Oh boy, I'm pretty sure they cast it already, right? But that means we don't really have a win, right? They can just Constant Miss forever. That's unfortunate. Yeah, we like they're just gonna be drawing 2 extra cards per turn, and they can just fog forever. Uh, I I don't think we have a lot of ways to win the game out of that. I think that's kind of like a game over. Like Torment of Hailfire, we can't get from our graveyard. Not if you play Death Grip. Yeah, that's probably GG. I don't have a way to get around Constant Miss. Not anymore. Torment of Hailfire was my way out. Man, this game is so long. Oof. X equals 11. Jeez. Oh, Dread Presence can work, yeah. Do you have like an Exsanguinate? I don't. I had Torment of Hailfire and I messed it up. Should have done X equals 20 instead of X equals 16. All right, so Dread Presences are going to be our outs. We need to find Dread Presence to win. While OK Vamp Tutor has a full grip of cards and is drawing 2 additional cards per turn. It's gonna be tough. All right, that's a Nissa. What legendary from Zendikar was your favorite? Akiri by far. I like equipments. I like Boros equipments. I like Akiri. Ground Seal. Okay. Maybe he naturally mills himself out. I mean, he's 30 cards remaining. We're getting there. Yeah, Beacon of Arrest for impossible threats to reanimate. Not anymore. Not anymore of Ground Seal. That's for sure. I also don't think there's anything interesting in Graveyard. It's not that I can even look at them with Moto. Great. Oh, actually, if I got the Skullwinder, I would have gotten an easy win. If the Ground Seal wasn't there, I could, and I got Beacon of Unrest. I could steal the Skullwinder, get back Torment of Hellfire, win. Assuming Verizal doesn't have a counterspell. Yep. All right. pass? Are you playing Hecatomb? You can see my list in the video description. I think tapping the Rogue's Passage was a mistake. You could have just Rogue's Passage the Worm if you didn't want to deal with blockers. Yeah, I could Wretched Confluence. I'm just waiting. I can't use Toshiro with Ground Seal on the battlefield. That seemed like some bad plays all around. He tapped the Rogue Passage, so he couldn't use Unblockable, and then he attacked me, and I had double blocks for him. He could have just waited a turn and not done that. But whatever. Yeah, there's nothing in the graveyard to copy with Toshiro. I could cast Malicious Affliction, and if Ground Seal wasn't on the battlefield, I could cast Malicious Affliction and then cast it again with Toshiro. But that's not happening, so... A 3-hour game is kind of making me check out. It's been 3 hours on this game. And boy, am I tired. Boy howdy. And I think there's another game that I'm just not going to be using as footage either. I don't want to edit a 3-hour game, folks. I don't. It's a lot of ugh. A 3-hour game is you take a 3-hour game and you quadruple the amount of time, and that's how long it takes me to edit it. So it'd take me 12 hours. Oof. Maybe it's just Toshiro. Maybe Toshiro was just the bad call. Maybe it was that. Maybe I have to stick to aggro decks. Perforos is fast. Perforos was nice and fast games. Praetor's Council, okay. All right, surely they can win now. Surely they have a win. I mean, Toshiro's a grindy deck, but this is like 10 times the grind level. Like, this is get your entire graveyard back to your hands, replay everything, infinite mana, draw your entire deck. 34 cards left in the library, or 21 cards left in the library. Spin the wheel, fog forever. I Toshiro is not as grindy as that. That is ultimate grind. And it's like Verazal's grindy too. These are some grindy grind stations here. I mean, my removal was not that high. I agree that Toshiro is a grindy deck, but I did nothing for most of the game. I didn't really kill anybody for most of the game. The board was not wiped by my hand. I just cast a Torment of Hailfire at the end. That was really my contribution to the game, and it clearly wasn't enough, which is the unfortunate bit. Oof. I just didn't draw into my draw engine, is the thing. Yeah, this is turn 16. It's usually 11 turns. Alright, I've seen enough. Alright, I'm out. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't anymore. Oh, the Aetherflux Reservoir wins, so I'm out. So that was... Yeah. I don't know, chat. Those were interesting games. They were interesting games. They were interesting decks. It was not a fault of my opponents or anything. It's just Toshiro didn't really get to do much again. The deck draws a lot of cards. It just kind of stumbled a bit. It stumbled a lot for the early part of the game. And then I cast a Torment of Hailfire for not lethal, and that bit me. Like, if I cast Torment of Hailfire for X equals 20 instead of X equals 16, I would have actually won. Probably. I would have had to deal with Afro 1 versus 1 instead of dealing with the green deck. But I just... After 3 hours and also like constantly talking and chatting with everybody, I'm out. I just can't. So I don't know if I'll use that footage. Maybe I will. I really don't want to edit it. But that's not the fault of anybody. It's just that's how the cookie crumbles somehow. But hopefully everybody still enjoyed the stream itself. Even though I'm complaining about me afterwards. That's not your fault or anything. But yeah, it was a game. There were things happening. And hope everybody enjoyed. I am calling it here, folks. I am exhausted. I'm going to go to bed. So thanks for watching, everyone. And I'm out. And until next time, Wise.